Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Beastyqt and the StrealBoras, Recon, Beasty, and the Muslim versus White Wolf Palace, Yo, Lix, Vivi, and Bat Koala in Age of Empires 4 Pro League. This is a 3v3 $20,000 tournament sponsored by Microsoft, and in game number 1, we'll have Beastyqt, the Muslim, and Recon playing with the French, Rus, and Mongols against the identical civilizations from Bat Koala, Vivi, and Mr. Yo. As you see on the screen, we only have 5 seconds to go. On the top right, you will be able to see the colors of each team, so this way you will be able to diagnose who is who. Unfortunately, it's not really possible to pick alternative colors for the players because their positions on the map are bound to their color. With that being said, on the left side, we will have Recon, starting off as the French in the pocket in blue for Beasty's team. Up north, you're going to have the red player, the Muslim, with the Rus. Down south, you're going to have Beastyqt as the Mongols in yellow. And on the other side, you will have in the pocket a French player, Vivi, playing as the green. Down south, a Rus player, Mr. Yo, playing as the teal. And on the other side, you will have Bat Koala playing as the Mongols in purple. So the first thing that you're noticing is that both French players are in a pocket position, and you already have a mill coming up here for Vivi. Not something you see every day from the French. Could be a sign that he wants to go for professional scouts at some point, because he's not going to be gathering berries anytime in the near future. But it's a little surprising that we're seeing that mill come up that fast for our green player. Up north, you're going to have the Mongol player, Bat Koala, who could have a chance at pushing the base of the Muslim here with a couple of towers early on. We'll have to see if that's going to be the game plan. And down south, a similar approach could be taken by Beasty, but we have seen that it's pretty difficult to push Rus players. It is much easier for the Mongols to work something out if their opponent is the French player on the flank. So part of the reason why the French player is put into a pocket position is because if you put it to a flank, then it is a lot more exposed to the aggression from the Mongols. First step, of course, is going to be going for all that hunt with the Rus. 35 bounty already for the Muslim, and you're going to see the same thing being done by Mr. Yo, gathering all that hunt. He's taking down the first batch of huntables already, so Yo is probably ahead a tiny bit when it comes to the bounty. Indeed, he's at 125 already, the Muslim a tiny bit behind. He's just now popping out the second scout, I do believe. He has one out already, that was the starting scout, and he made one already, so that's going to be the second scout he's getting out. As things stand, we're going to have, on the left side, no aggression from Beasty. He has his OVO kind of far away from his town center, so that's a little exposed to aggression, but so far, he's showing no signs of putting up some Dark Age pressure, unlike Bat Koala, because Bat Koala isn't messing around. He's coming in with the barracks, and he's popping out some spearmen. He wants to go aggressive, and you see his Khan is already scouting his opponent pretty actively. It's going to be difficult for him to do a lot of damage to the base of the Muslim here, simply because the Muslim has his lumberjacks behind his town center, and the second wood line is also pretty close. So it's going to be difficult for towers to do damage, but there are definitely some options. You could make a tower near the berries, and that would potentially deny the villagers underneath the town center as well. And given the fact that the Muslim doesn't have a ton of sheep underneath the town center, the food eco for the Muslim could be a little bit troublesome. As you see, the spearmen will be coming forward quite rapidly. Now, the Muslim is near the base of Bat Koala, so there's a chance that he has spotted that barracks, and indeed he knows about it. So the Muslim knows exactly that the spearmen are coming, and indeed the spearmen are heading towards the base of the Muslim. Alternatively, you could go towards the base of Recon, because the French player is often very exposed to a tower rush, even in a pocket position, although with such a gold mine, it's going to be difficult to deny that. Scout for the Muslim returning quite a lot of sheep all the way back, and it looks like the spearman will try to run past the town center. The town center's range is not long enough to kill those spearmen, and guess what? Defensive tower already forced from the Muslim, making sure that there is gonna be no tower coming up at this side. This is a beautiful reaction from our red player, because this way, there is no way for Bat Koala to drop a tower here, which would have been the perfect tower to deny both of those forests. Of course, Bat Koala isn't going to give up on this very easily. He's already going for a tower here. The good news for the Muslim is that this tower is actually going to boost his lumberjacking here with his influence radius. So there is definitely some positives in that tower, but the fact that you have to invest into that quite early is definitely something that's a little worrisome. And I think if you are the Muslim, you have to be prepared to move to the other forest, because this tower is coming up. The Muslim sees that, so he knows exactly a tower is on the way. At this point, he's just relocating his lumberjacks to the north, but he might need to go all the way to the right side over here. 235 bounty at this point for the Muslim, 365 already for Yo. The difference can be seen because the Muslim had to pull his scouts back for a brief moment. He had to gather some sheep as well because he was low on those. So he didn't really have the time to collect that much bounty. And because of that, he is quite a bit behind compared to Mr. Yo. On the other side, it looks like Deerstones are coming up for Beasty. There is no signs of aggression up until now. In the pocket, you have Knights popping out immediately for Recon. And on the other side, you will have the same approach from Vivi. We'll see if he actually goes for Professional Scouts. He researched Wheelbarrow in Dark Age, so his economy is going to be pretty decent to start off with. It looks like Professional Scouts is not going to be a thing, but a second tower is on the way from Bad Koala. And that is going to do quite a lot of harassment on those villagers on the food, because that is going to be within range. As you see, the town center is also shooting at the tower, but the tower will be able to harass the vills. Reaction from the Muslim is immediate. You see he's sending all the sheep to the right side. He knows exactly that this could be quite troublesome for him. Knights are being assembled though by Recon, and when you have like 5 or so knights, you could potentially charge those Dark Age Spearmen, so that's an option for you. And Mangadai are coming out for Beasty. Now, there are a lot of options with those Mangadai. You could send them north, try to pick off the Spearmen, or you could send them towards Mr. Yo's base. So we'll have to see what Beasty decides to do with them. Looks like he's sending them towards Mr. Yo for the time being. Meanwhile, down south, you're going to have Knights coming out as well for Vivi, so no Professional Scouts as of yet for him. As things stand, you're going to have another tower coming in here for Bad Koala. This is also going to deny a patch of Huntables, which is just an added level of annoyance to the Muslim. The Muslim currently sitting at the 335 bounty, just now finishing Professional Scouts. And Mr. Yo, on the other hand, he's at 485 bounty. So Yo is definitely ahead compared to the Muslim at this point, going for Pro Scouts already. Towers are up for Bad Koala as he just now reached Feudal Age. There were a couple of Mangadai from Beasty. Where are they? Well, difficult to spot them on the minimap. They are actually all the way down south here. Looks like they are going for these patches of Huntables, seeing if Mr. Yo is around. Arrow slits coming in immediately for Bad Koala. On those towers, he's going to have another tower up north over here, so the Muslim will soon have to relocate his lumberjacks. But the biggest problem, I think, for the Muslim right now is that Yo managed to get the most of the hunt. 540 bounty as opposed to 360, so there is a massive difference when it comes to the bounty collected between the two Rus players. As things stand, Beasty hasn't been super active with those Mangadai. It looks like he's just trying to intercept the scouts of his opponent, but so far, that wasn't really successful. Towers are up for Bad Koala, with arrow slits on all of those, and now, the Muslim is going to have to relocate his lumberjacks. He loses one villager to the tower fire. He is not going to lose a second one, it seems, though. But of course, this is going to delay him even more, and delaying the Rus player is extremely valuable at this point for White Wolf Palace. In the middle, there is minimal fighting going on. Neither of the French players are doing much at this point. But here come the Mangadai. And as you see, Recon and Beasty are planning to double team one player down south. That could very well be Vivi, who actually has a very valuable base. Look at that. It's the perfect fortress layout for Vivi to just wall himself off. And that's going to prevent the Mangadai from doing a ton of damage. Abbey of Virginity already on the way for the Muslim. And for Mr. Yo, he's also rushing that up. He's only building it with 6 veils as opposed to the Muslim building it with 14. So he really wants that up as fast as possible. Defensive tower from the Muslim is going to guarantee that he's going to have a safe lumberjacking over here. He did lose 2 villagers in the process though, so there is that trade-off. Losing 2 veils to make that tower. Definitely something that's a little worrisome for him at this point. Meanwhile, down south, Mangadai are coming into the base of Mr. Yo, so as much as our red player was losing a lot of units here to some tower fire, now you're going to have some villagers killed from Mr. Yo, at least 1, 2 deaths, I count. Mangadai doing some work over here. Vivi is going to send in his Royal Knights to fight this one. Yo only at 1 archer range, so he's not gonna have a ton of horse archers right at the beginning. Knights are being sent out by Recon to burn down the towers. It's a nice way to do things. There isn't really any spearmen guarding those towers, so you can take those down. Spearmen, on the other hand, moving to the right side, and you see that the Muslim's lumberjacking here isn't necessarily spectacular. He might actually lose a villager here if he's not paying attention. Looks like his reaction is nice and fast. Another tower comes in from Bad Koala, as you do have basically all the food income denied. The Muslim is in a bit of a trouble here because it's very difficult for him right now to access the resources he needs for horse archers. You see, he isn't even able to afford a single archer range, and of course he's only at 370 bounty, so he doesn't even have tier 3, unlike Mr. Yo. But with those towers being cleaned up by his teammate Recon, That's going to make life a lot easier. Woes are also coming up for recon, so he's going to be safe from counterattacks for the time being. But at this point, the Muslim is being set back really heavily, and that's going to have an impact on the game. You see Mr. Yo already coming out with the Horse Archers, and we have Warrior Monks going out for the Relics. Warrior Monks are also moving out for the Muslim in a matter of seconds, so he's gonna be able to start gathering Relics as well. It is going to be the tower taken down, and this is going to allow the Muslim to send his villagers back to the woodlands. He can finally start chopping the trees, and he can finally start adding those archery ranges. We do have some Mangadai roaming around here, Beasty trying to get some kills on some scouts that were ferrying in there, but so far he was unsuccessful doing that. And it looks like since there isn't really a lot of fighting with knights going on, Vivi is going to decide to invest into a second town center, grabbing a blacksmith as we speak. Other side, we only have one town center for recon. The Muslim coming in here, swooping up. Oh, the hunt. Oh, boy. Oh, that's a bit of a disaster out here. That's a bit of a disaster. Beasty wanted to go for a Gur on all the hunt. And you see, the Muslim had his plans set differently. He wanted to ferry in all the deer to his teammate. The Muslim tried to help out his teammate, but ended up just slowing him down a tiny bit. Not the end of the world, but sometimes, you know, good intentions override what your teammate is doing. Anyways, as things stand, we have Horse Archers coming in for Mr. Yo. He already has one relic in that Abbey. We also have a relic in for the Muslim. Right now, Knights are trading off against each other as we speak. But as I said, this is something that's going to help Vivi quite considerably, because Vivi is booming on 2 town centers. So he's going to have one of the best economies in this entire game. Second relic just now coming in here for the Muslim, and we got some Knights out for Beasty. He's trying to intercept the Khan of Bad Koala. Indeed, Bad Koala is going to lose that Khan just before Castle Age. Speaking of Castle Age, right now the only 2 players not in Castle are Vivi and Recon. So the 2 French players are not in Castle. This is pretty common when you're playing French. You're spending a ton of food on Knights. And speaking of food, a couple of villagers here from the Muslim are gonna get picked off by the towers. I'm not sure if you noticed that just yet. Villagers on the foot have a hard time accessing those carcasses, and that's a lot of dead villagers out there. I count at least 3 dead bodies. And now the food income for the Muslim is in a bit of a trouble. As you see, we see some Lancers and Knights arriving from Beasty's team. Wouldn't be surprised to see them trying to push down these towers. But the biggest problem right now is that the Muslim is being set back so heavily. Now, we have seen this happen in the previous round as well. The Muslim just being ganged upon by 3 players, and then he was basically the punching bag. And that allowed Beasty and Recon to snowball the game. So don't underestimate their chances just yet, but it's not a great position to be in at this point for the Muslim. And without those berries, his only way to add any kind of food eco is to go for farms, or maybe to send his villagers to the berries of his teammate. Recon also on 2 town centers now. Mr. Yo grabbing the sacred site as we speak. He's massing up Horse Archers back at home. He already has a massive amount, and that is going to be range number 6 coming in for him. Relic number 3 on the way as well. I love the move from the Muslim to pick up all the carcasses. I think he brought them all the way from the other side of the map, because he needs some sort of food income. He's on 2 relics, so that's obviously saving grace, as now the Knights will jump on that tower. A couple of casualties will be there, thanks to the Spearman, but ultimately, the tower's gonna get cleaned up, so a little bit more breeding room is now given to the Muslim, and with that tower gone, you can actually ferry in all these deer, and that's going to be a lifesaver for the Muslim, because food is a big necessity for him at this point. Meanwhile, gotta love that the warrior monks are sent out to heal the villagers underneath the town center, because there's a mangonel coming in, and oh boy, that was almost a disaster here for the Muslim. That was almost a disaster. Had he not healed those villagers, he could have lost all of them to the mangonel shot. Where did that come from? Here is Bad Koala, and he's not messing around. He's putting up a lot of pressure on the base of the Muslim. They know exactly that the Muslim is on the back foot, and they just want to go in for the kill. There's already a mangonel set up. Men-at-arms are coming in for the forward barracks, and you also have some battering rams. And because you have all these towers over here for Bad Koala, the Yam speed network is going to affect all that infantry, so he's got a huge amount of mobility around the base of the opponent, and he's already mangoing down that town center and the Abbey. As things stand, Recon's forces are assembling inside the base of the Muslim. Down south though, you have Yo moving in, and you are going to see a ton of dead villagers here from Beastyqt. That's going to be at least 5 dead gold miners on that gold vein. You do have the horse archers moving in. Sizable forces are out here for Beasty, and a combination of Lancers and Mangudai are actually a very good way to fight horse archers. And you see that this is gonna be a nice defense here from Beasty. He's repelling the attack, and this is why you see this is a nice combination. The Lancers are able to tank a lot of damage, and then the Mangudai can just pursue and shoot from behind. Every moment the horse archers turn back, they're going to get some hits on them from the knights, they're going to get some hits on them by the Mangudai, and as weird as it looks like, Mangudai and Lancers will easily beat the horse archers one-on-one. If you turn around and snipe the Mangudai, you could still take a good fight over here, but at this point, the worrisome part is gonna be the north. You have quite a decent amount of horse archers now out for the Muslim, and he also has the HP upgrade on them. Manganos crawling up though as Recon gets to Castle Age, so he's waiting for that Veteran Royal Knight upgrade that he desperately needs. Vivi on the other hand, Orde is one step ahead, and he has gotten not only Veteran Royal Knights, but also Royal Bloodlines. So he's got 300 HP on those Knights, and Royal Bloodlines is an upgrade that takes quite a lot of time to research. So Recon's Knights currently, even though you have better numbers, they are much weaker than those Green Knights over here. Some Lancers are being sent north, and you will see the Mangudai join the party though. I would expect Yo's Horse Archers to join the fun here soon as well. The Abbey is under a lot of fire. You just want to eject all those relics to make sure that the Muslim is not getting that passive gold income at this point. Knights now jumping on all those Manganos. One Mangano goes down. It looks like Batquala's forces were caught a little bit off guard, and that is a perfect sandwich, because now Beasty is coming in from the other side, and suddenly all those forces from Batquala are absolutely getting massacred by all those Lancers, the Horse Archers, the Mangudai, and this is the perfect cleanup by Beasty's team here. Look at all that slaughter that just went down over there, and of course, with those Manganos going down, with the Rams going down, those are expensive siege weapons. Now you see those towers being taken down as well. Beasty needs to set them on fire because he's also getting the Mongol bounty for that. In the middle though, you do have the forces of Yo and Vivi assembling, and they could target Recon now. Recon's got a base vote up, so that's definitely going to help a tiny bit. But there's still a way into the base of Recon here. As things stand, towers are being burnt down, so finally the Muslim is going to catch some fresh air because he's been under a lot of pressure so far. Tower being burned down as we speak. White Wolf Palace is going to lose that forward position. We do have 2 sacred sites, almost free for Mr. Yo though, and Mr. Yo is also sitting on 3 relics at minimum, could potentially be more, 2000ers, so Yo's still quite a bit ahead compared to his counterpart, the other Rus player. But of course, the first step for the Muslims team to recover here is going to be just making sure that the Muslim can catch some fresh air. He's on 3 relics as well, as we speak. In the middle, we do have the Knights and the Horse Archers breaking in though, so now the new target is going to be Recon. Lancers just now converging up on this location, Horse Archers also moving in from the Muslim. Yo doesn't have the HP upgrade on those Horse Archers, and that's going to mean that the forces of the Muslim are much stronger than the forces of Mr. Yo here, but those Blue Knights are a little bit late to the party, and they also don't have the HP upgrade that Vivi has, which means that at this point, Vivi's forces might still be able to take a reasonable engagement over here, but without the Saint's Blessing for the Rus player and without the HP upgrade for those Horse Archers, looks like they will sound a retreat, and that is a 4 retreat right now from White Wolf Palace. While they do have the 3 sacred sites working for them, that's just a temporary thing. Recon is coming in with the Royal Knights. Recon aged up with the Royal Institute, and now you see the Royal Bloodlines coming in. That's where his Knights will match the ones from Vivi, and suddenly, Beasty's team is looking really powerful. Because as things stand, the Knight numbers are going to be better for Recon, but the quality will be dead even. As things stand, you will have resources banked up here by Beasty. 700 food already in bank. 2000 gold for Vivi. He's just stacking up a ton of gold at this point. Looking at the KDs, 47 kills by Beasty, 37 losses, 29-14 by Recon. So far, he's been doing a very nice job keeping his Knights alive. And as you would expect, the sacred site in the middle is going to be neutralized, even taken by the Muslim. Notably, the Muslim is currently sitting at 46 villagers though, whereas Mr. Yo is at 58. So Mr. Yo has a far superior economy right now, but he's still lacking the HP upgrade on those Horse Archers. It's only 85 HP as opposed to 105, and that is a big difference maker over here. Knights still missing the Royal Bloodlines upgrade right now for Recon, so he needs to wait for that upgrade to come in. But once that upgrade is in, he's gonna turn back and fight this one. Waiting, and retreating. They're probably also waiting for some reinforcements to come in from Beasty potentially, and I feel like Yo and Vivi might be falling to a trap here. HP upgrade now in for Recon, and you see he's turning back immediately. Saint's Blessing is going to be popped for those Red Warrior Monks, and this is what I was talking about. Yo's team kind of felt like they fell into a trap here. Some Lancers from our yellow player Beast is also coming in to reinforce, and now White Wolf Palace is in for retreat. They still have the better economies because we had 2 TCs for both Vivi and Yo for a long time, as opposed to just having one from the Muslim, and Recon also was later adding his second TC compared to Vivi. But of course, at this point, the army numbers are considerably higher for Beastyqt and the StrealBoras, and you see, Vivi just wanted to go for that gold mine out there. You see the gold mining camp foundation over here from our green player. Guess what? Keep is coming in here for Vivi. That's going to help decrease the cost of those knights in the influence radius, but it is a question if that keep even goes up, because right now, the numbers are way better for the team of the Muslim. Knights are trying to gallop in between the horse archers and trying to get some hits in, but beautiful micro there by the Muslim to pull them away. Yo coming in with his own horse archers, now with the HP upgrade as well. The castle is gonna go up, and that's the most important thing for White Wolf Palace. I think they should have retreated into that castle's range now, because they're taking a pretty underwhelming fight over here. They wanted to make this fight happen, because that castle was exposed. If you bring all your forces back to the castle, you can guarantee that you will survive with much larger numbers. Looks like they are in for blood though. They're pushing back all those knights and the horse archers up north. Down south, we do have some Lancers coming in here from Beastyqt, and he's doing work with those. That's already 7-8 villagers down from Mr. Yo. That's exactly how you can make sure that the Muslim playing on 1 town centers will still have a comparable eco to Mr. Yo. Speaking of economy, look at the income per minute for a brief moment. 1600 food per minute for Recon, he's not messing around. Vivi also has 1500. Gold income, best for Beastyqt and Recon at this point. Notably, all White Wolf Palace players have a somewhat concerning gold income. Only 600 maximum, and that's on Beastyqt's side. So, right now, the Muslims team has a way better gold income. But guess what? This is something that we haven't talked about yet. Beastyqt wasn't in those fights for a long time, and that allows him to get some mangonels on the battlefield. The mangonels getting some volleys out, just absolutely massacring all those horse archers. Now the blue knights jumping on the mangonels though. Expensive siege weapons are all being torched down, but as they are doing that, many spearmen will get some beautiful hits on them. I don't think this was a very effective fight for the Muslims team. They take down quite a lot of siege weapons, and they once again repel this push from Beastyqt, but those horse archer numbers have been just cut down to half, many of them heavily damaged, and now you see the next wave coming in by Yo and Vivi. Beastyqt was just sort of under the radar for so long. We haven't talked about him because he wasn't in those fights down south. He was preparing another push on the base of the Muslim, and it had its effect. 5 mangonels definitely helped out in this one. And now you see horse archers start to pick off villagers from the Muslim. Lancers coming in from Beastyqt once again. It is 3 versus 2 in this fight though, so Yo's team get forced back. The Lancers still doing work inside the base of Mr. Yo, so Yo is gonna have to handle that as well. Love the team walls from Recon all across the map, so they will limit the movement of the opponent. Another mangonel coming in here for Beastyqt. Those horse archers really need to be careful now. Knights from Recon sent in to take down the mangonels. As things stand, the knights will trade off evenly against each other. Horse archer numbers seem to be rather even. Some spearmen and man-at-arms are being pulled, and that mangonel is still alive. Looks like the knights will be able to torch it down though. It is an intense battle right now, and it looks like White Wolf Palace is being pushed back. It is 3 versus 2 pretty much, because Beastyqt's forces are contributing little. Spearmen and men-at-arms aren't really gonna crack it against knights with 300 HP. Towers are being pushed up here though, with a couple of spring golden placements. Sacred sites under the control of White Wolf Palace though, and that's definitely going to help with their gold income. Down south, we got some horse archers moving in. Wouldn't be surprised to see some raids going towards the base of Beastyqt. Still, everybody is in Castle Age. If you look at the current resources, you see Recon is getting close to Imperial though. If he sells some wood, sells some food, he could find himself up in Imperial, and that would be a pretty massive power spike with Elite Knights. No one else is really close. Yo, however, has banked up 3,000 gold. He should sling that to one of his teammates. For example, Vivi, because Vivi being the French player having only 150 gold in the bank is quite concerning. So, Yo really needs to do something with that, because you see, Vivi is desperate for gold. He moved all the way up here for a town center so he can mine gold. Yo needs to send all that gold to Vivi, because Yo is not using them. Yo is only using horse archers that don't cost gold, whereas Vivi desperately needs that gold to make sure that he can match the knight numbers of Recon at this point. Looks like we're going to have a castle coming up here for Recon to deny that gold mine. And now White Wolf Palace is in full retreat mode. Up north, no more pressure on the base of the Muslim. Down south, Yo is retreating against all those Lancers. Beasty has a very, very good economy here. We haven't talked about that, but his eco is just spectacular. Now, here come the Manganos once again from Bat Koala. I still think that Bat Koala needs to contribute something more than Spearman. Spearman against mass horse archers and that powerful knights aren't really gonna crack it anymore. They're not population efficient, they lack mobility. It's just not good enough. As compared to, let's say, the Lancers that are being mixed in by Beast. And you see, Beasty's Lancers are able to sort of 1v1 Yo's base here. You see towers are being built by Beast to prevent Yo from capturing that sacred site. Up north, even the scouts are inside this party now for the Muslim, so they can soak up some arrow fire. Vivi in full retreat for the time being, and he's going to have gold issues. Update on the gold banks. Yo only has 1400 gold now. It has been slung to Vivi, and if you look at that resource bank, Vivi is gonna be on the way to Imperial as the first player. Got some Lancers moving in on Yo's base. Yo now with 3 town centers, so he's gonna be able to replenish those lost villagers. There is definitely a lot of raiding potential for White Wolf Palace inside the base of the Muslim or Recon, but so far it is Beasty's team going in for all those raids. Now, here comes the Red Palace. I was just about to say that you have to make a decision between the College of Artillery and the Red Palace, and in a team game, Red Palace makes a ton more sense. This also protects that sacred site to a certain extent, gives you a nice forward position. Vivi being in Imperial could be an enormous power spike, because now you will have Elite Royal Knights up north. You have the Manganos once again coming in. That Koala has been crawling up with towers all day, all night, and those Spearmen are actually taking a pretty good fight against those Knights. The Manganos will once again be taken down, but with all those towers out there with what are, I think, Springald emplacements, indeed, these are Springald towers, they are taking down quite a lot of those expensive Knights from Recon, and they're also taking down quite a lot of Horse Archers. I think this was a good fight here for Bat Koala. There are a lot of units being lost here for Recon and for the Muslim, and you see that the influx of those Horse Archers moving forward is also gonna be cut to half with all those towers out there. Now, however, Bat Koala's base is wide open and Spearman won't crack it against all those Horse Archers. You will need something other than that. Knights on the left side, though, moving all the way towards Beasty's base. I think Beasty is the target. Beasty on the way to Imperial himself with the White Stupa. He's going to have his Elite Lancers in soon, but of course, the French Royal Knights with the Royal Bloodlines will be much, much stronger. How is Bat Koala going to defend this one, though? He's moving his Step Redoubт all the way in here, rushing up some towers, and finally the Muslim can get some revenge for that Mongol tower rush, because as we speak, the Horse Archers are moving in, and you're going to see a ton of that villagers here from Bat Koala potentially. Spearman won't be able to stop this one at all. Now, you got the Yam Speed network, so they can still try to chase down all those Horse Archers, but this is not going to be super effective. On the other side, though, disaster could strike Beasty's team, because now those are Elite Royal Knights. Perfect timing on those upgrades. Beasty is up in Imperial, but doesn't have his upgrades yet, so this is the moment where you indeed want to fight this one. Horse Archers moving in. Recon is going to dispatch his own Knights to handle this, and Recon himself isn't up in Imperial, so if Beasty doesn't lose a lot, Recon's gonna have some Knights here to trade this off. The problem is that he's still missing the upgrades, and the numbers are also better for White Wolf Palace as we speak. Yo on the way to Imperial Age with the high armory as well. Now Elite Knights are in though for Recon. Town Center Fire also helping a lot here, and Vivi's Knight numbers are being taken down. Elite Lancer is still missing for Beasty, so this is not the best fight they've ever taken, but the influx of reinforcements is just never ending. You have the Knights coming in from Beasty, and Recon, especially his Elite Knights, are doing so much work here, supported by the Town Center Fire. Look at all those green dead bodies out there. Just getting absolutely slaughtered, and now Recon is up to Imperial as well. Suddenly, Beasty's team once again could be in a commanding position. Yo has to pull a retreat here because he needs Imperial Age and Elite Horse Archers. Up north, you're going to have Bat Koala with a safe base once again, but Spearman. That is not necessarily ideal against what will be Elite Horse Archers very soon. The only player that's not Imperial are the Muslim and Bat Koala as we speak. Vivi coming in with a fairly sizable force of Royal Knights moving all the way up north. Currently, if we look at the resource income, let's talk about that for a brief moment. Recon still 1500 gold per minute, by far the best in the game, no one else above. 1,000. Food eco for Vivi and Recon pretty much even at this point. But of course, gold income is going to be a key factor between the French players. And now you have to start thinking about setting up trade potentially because the mineable gold is running low. Here come the knights. These will do quite a lot of damage over here on those villagers. And as we speak, in the middle, we will have some horse archers picking apart the villagers of Vivi. Vivi is probably going to get some bombards in here to try and take down that castle. Down south, Recon moving in with all of those blue knights. And this could be a perfect time to strike on Mr. Yo's base. Yo doesn't have his Imperial Age upgrades yet. And that many knights can torch down Town Center in a matter of seconds. You see, they're charging in, intercepting a ton of villagers. And if they take down just this one town center, that's also 10 villagers lost by Yo. But Yo is up to Imperial. Now he's got his upgrades in. And you are going to have the elite horse archers in. Nice move from Recon, though, to turn around. And this is a disaster for Yo. He ran into all of those knights. And now Vivi is coming from the other side, though. Beasty moving from the left side in, trying to sandwich those horse archers in between them. Yo finds a nice choke point as Recon is going to send a couple of those knights to get some villager kills. We have Vivi coming in as well to trade off against those knights. As things stand, Yo is going to lose considerable numbers over here. But so will Vivi and Recon. Recon still getting a good fight over here. The Flaming Arrow stack is not in for those horse archers just yet. Looks like all of those blue knights will go down, but a considerable amount of horse archers from Yo will be lost as well in this fight. Up north, we have a push coming in, though, from Bad Koala. And despite the fact that he only has Spearmen going here, he's doing a great job. Castle up here now for Recon, though, and you have the Muslim assembling a nice force of horse archers as well. Heavy cavalry also coming in. Bad Koala is only in Castle Age, so Castle Age veteran Spearmen, even with Brace, will struggle to a certain extent against the fully upgraded Royal Knights. Although, with that many towers having Springolds on them and Trebuchets taking down those buildings, this is gonna be a difficult hold to make. Down south, it looks like the cleanup is complete. High Armory now up for Mr. Yo. Long game, super long game here. In fact, just look at those towers all around for Bad Koala. Bad Koala and Vivi now sharing gold mine up north, though both sides losing quite a lot of units here. And replenishing them is going to cost gold for many players. So map control is going to start becoming more and more important. And now you see an army of scouts here by the Muslim. They're very cheap. They have high torch damage, so you can send them in to snipe those trebuchets. Nice move to snipe one. There are two more trebuchets up, some Springolds as well. But now it looks like it's going to be 3 versus 1 over here. No forces from Yo or no forces from Vivi over here. Spearmen will brace into all of those Royal Knights, but with the Horse Archer support, you can now start slaughtering all that Spearman force. Some Knights arrive on the battlefield for Vivi, but I think it's just a little too late. And now you see all of those scouts just torching down the buildings. Bad Koala even has an Ovu up here to support his infantry production. Finally, Vivi's forces arrive, but they're just a little too late to the party, because by the time they arrive, Bad Koala's forces have been wiped out. On the northern flank, you still have both players in. Castle Age Bombard now moving in as well for Recon to try and take down the towers. But honestly, those towers might be easier dealt with if you just use your knights at this point. Lancers as well moving in from Beasty to try and get some burn downs, and with that some bounty for the Mongol player. Vivi's forces regrouping in the middle though, because Vivi is going to get a gold mine here for himself. Still no trade for either of these players, but you see some towers from Beastie, so I suspect that he's going to start setting up trade as we speak. Tower now under heavy attack over here. The Muslim finally getting back to his original strengths. He's got a very sizable force of horse archers and scouts now. And as I said, those scouts are great when it comes to torching down buildings. Could be great to support the raid with the horse archers, but now the elite horse archers from Yo move in. And with some bombard support as well from Vivi, this Abbey opportunity could once again be exposed, potentially the castle even as well. Some bombards, some mangonels out as well for Recon, as Vivi is sending in his knight to try and snipe the mangonels. Recon has had no reaction to this one just yet, and he could lose the mangonels to the knights over here. Mangonels get a nice attack, but the Red Palace is helping out, and it looks like Vivi is gonna have to call his forces back here. That mangonel was just in the range of the Red Palace, and that is a ton of firepower to deal with. Knights now charging into all of those horse archers though from the Muslim. Scouts and Castle Age horse archers won't be able to stop all of those elite royal knights, and now Bad Koala is up to Imperial Age, so he can finally start adding some Imperial Age forces. I still think he needs to do something other than Spearmen though, because Imperial Age Spearmen won't crack it. And speaking of Spearmen, we're seeing some of that appear on the battlefield from Recon, which could be an alarming sign. If he's running low on gold, that's a concern. The Muslim with 48 gold per minute, basically none. Recon still with decent gold income, so is Beasty. Yo, Vivi, also good gold incomes, but as I said, as we go deeper and deeper into the game, you're going to have to find alternative ways of getting gold, because the mineable gold is running out. No siege right now for White Wolf Palace to push this one. We got some Mangonels helping out against those horse archers as we speak, and it looks like Vivi is going to send all of his knights to the north. Quite a lot of villagers will fall in that lumberjacking area. Markets are being set up as we speak by Beasty's team. I don't see any kind of trading just yet from White Wolf Palace. We got some nice counterattacks coming in by Recon, getting quite a few villager kills on the eco of Vivi, and that's going to be a lot of villagers idled on the food eco as well, making it more difficult to reinforce the battle. Volo attempt by the Muslim is going to fail, but it's going to discourage the knights from charging deeper into the base of his. Up north, you have a castle coming up from Recon. He's going to secure that side, and Beasty is now arriving in force with elite lancers. Up north, you have Mr. Yo tearing apart all of those lancers with some of his horse archers, but Beasty's got some mangonels going, he's got some towers rolling as well, and he has this big gold mine, and that's going to be vital for him. Mangonels now setting up, so you gotta be very careful if you're Mr. Yo here. Up north, Yo and Bad Koala are still putting a lot of pressure on the Muslim's base. The Muslim needs to find a way to Imperial. As things stand, he's pretty far from there though. He doesn't have the food, and he needs to replenish those horse archers with that. Recon has been doing a lot of work with those raids though. He has been killing stuff left and right, and now you see Vivi is starting to have gold issues, because that is horsemen appearing on the field. If Recon sees that, that's a clear sign that your opponent's pocket is in trouble, because knights not being on the battlefield for a French player is an absolute disaster. Horsemen just won't crack it in Imperial Age here. Nice raid by Vivi here, as we have the forces of Yo also moving in, supported by Spearmen. Now it looks like Recon is also running low on gold, because as things stand, he's adding a lot more Spearmen. He still has 20 villagers on gold though, so his situation shouldn't be that bad. Bombard for Yo crawling up, trying to get some tower kills before he dives in with the horse archers. That many towers with those springholes is going to be difficult to deal with. Up north, you have a gold mine in the hands of Recon. That's basically his only source of gold right now. Looks like Vivi is able to clean everything up here. Looking at Vivi's eco real quickly, he's got basically no lumberjacks, 34 farmers at this point. He still has 43 on gold though, and that's a spectacular amount of gold income. Mangonel is now crawling up for Bad Koala, and he could get some very nice volleys out on those horse archers. Reaction from the Muslim is very nice. Even some springholes are in the battle. Knights from Recon about to jump on those siege weapons. Defense arrow popped right now by the Khan from Bad Koala. One Mangonel goes down, the second Mangonel is gonna go down, but it gets some rocks out, getting some nice hits in there. But the Spearmen now overrun the horse archers from Mr. Yo, and all of that push from Bad Koala is once again going to be repelled. In the middle, we have absolutely no push coming in from Vivi anymore, and down south, Yo looks like he also hit a brick wall here, and as things stand, Beasty's got a fairly sizable force of knights coming in here, and he's ready to counterattack Mr. Yo. I think if the Muslim gets to Imperial, Recon's team is in a commanding position, because they will have basically the same amount of horse archers as Yo does. The only problem that they have currently is that they don't have the upgrades like Yo does. A couple of markets are up now, and you see trade cards are being added. Love the stonewalls from Recon. He's realizing that, okay, this game could go late. Might as well stonewall myself and prevent the enemies from raiding all of our trade. I would love to see some EM speed towers as well for the traders or Beasty over time. But as things stand, they're setting up their trade, whereas White Wolf Palace isn't. WWP still has some mineable gold to work with. But obviously, if this game goes very long, you are gonna need trade no matter what. Looks like Vivi is adding more and more horsemen as we speak. Looking at the incomes per minute for a brief moment, as we got some scuffle going on over here. You see, Bad Koala and Vivi desperately need that gold mine out here. And Bad Koala is gonna be like, okay, the castle might not be enough to hold all of these guys off, so might as well drop 15 towers and try to prevent this massacre, but I don't think you can prevent this massacre. Bad Koala is gonna be losing at least 20 villagers over here. He's making a run for it. The keep has boiling oil, so if the horse archers get close, they will lose a lot of HP, and that's exactly what you're seeing. So I love the move that you're baiting those horse archers near the castle so that the boiling oil can torch them. And honestly, that was quite a lot of horse archers lost for the amount of villagers killed. Of course, that's at least 20 villas down for Bad Koala, but also at least 15-20 horse archers from the Muslim, and of course, many of them were heavily damaged. Down south, though, you're going to have the force of Beasty now pushing up. Yo is popping a conversion to discourage the knights from charging, but now you got 3 Mangonels setting up. Yo, with the staggered formation, trying to minimize the amount of Mangonel damage that he can suffer from. The Springolds crawl up for Mr. Yo. He's got 12 range on them, sniping down 1 Mangonel. He's about to snap down the 2nd Mangonel, and the 3rd Mangonel could also be pushed back by Mr. Yo. Now he's bringing up another relic to try and get a conversion going. Looks like Yo is repelling the fight in the middle. We have knights once again appearing on the battlefield for Vivi. He still has some horsemen though. Elite upgrades are now on those. Up north, looks like Yo is able to retain his gold mining operation, and now the horse archers from Yo could get some villager kills on Recon's lumberjacks. Imperial Age in for the Muslim though. So now everybody is an imp. There is no longer a technology advantage for either side. Still, looking at the south, there is no safe corner for White Wolf Palace right now, and I love this move from Beast. Look at this fortification. He knows exactly that gold mine, and there is also a big gold mine out there. Oh, that's a disaster for White Wolf Palace. 12,000 gold falling into the hands of Beasty's team out there is just massive. You see some warrior monks coming in here to try and torch down those Springolds, because the Springolds are sniping down the ones from Mr. Yo. Yo is fighting valiantly over here, but there is just way too much for him to handle now. Too many towers, so many lancers moving in. Mangonels will be intercepted, and even the Khan could get picked off from Beasty. In the north, though, you slowly have the Spearman flood of Recon repelling this attack, because Yo has to fight on the south. And if Yo is fighting on the south, he won't be able to pick off the Spearman up north. Lancers now once again charging in. Horse archers will take a good fight over here, but this keep could also go up. And with that, there is going to be no trade for Mr. Yo's team, and what's worse is that they lose 12,000 gold over here down south, which is actually even more, because Beasty's getting a lot more from the steppe redoubt. Now the horse archers could still try to slow this process down here, but denying these golds entirely is going to be very difficult. Mangonel from Beasty once again coming up. Yo needs some Springolds here to try and fight this, but now this is basically a 1v1 between Beasty and Yo. Up north, the Muslim assembling a fairly large force of horse archers, and you even see a men-at-arms being mixed in here by Recon. I wonder if that was just a misclick or what. Their woes are getting second layered as we speak. Trade carts now set up, and you see they work with very, very large efficiency. Horse archers, though, from Mr. Yo moving in, and he's got some bomb bars to take down those towers with, so he's out here for blood as well, trying to make sure that Beasty isn't able to use this corner anymore. And you see the steppe redoubt is making a run for it. So are the villagers. So many villagers here from Beasty could go down. And Yo's army is only food and wood. He doesn't need gold. And on the other side, Vivi is moving in with the knights. He's going for the landmarks of Beasty at this point. And even if those knights just get into the trade or just the back of the economy, that could be so many casualties. This is the entire food eco of Beasty, with all those pastures, with all those carcasses out there. And now, stone walls are coming up for Vivi's team. Yo repelled this attack, and now suddenly Vivi is able to take down key buildings. The steppe redoubt is all the way up front, so Vivi is not going to be able to snipe all of those landmarks, but he's going to be able to inflict a massive amount of damage on the food eco of the opponent. The Muslim is coming in here for the rescue with all those horse archers, and now Vivi could find his army trapped in this left-hand side corner, because now there is no escape, and they're being pursued by horse archers. I think the best thing you can do right now for Vivi is split up and try to inflict as much damage as you can, because up north, bombards are crawling up, and as the Muslim is pulling his forces to the south, there could be a window for Bad Koala to do damage. Spearmen will clash into each other up north. Slightly better HP at this point for Bad Koala though, so that's going to give him a little edge, and he's got some men-at-arms going as well. Mangonels though join the party, and just a couple of Mangonel shots on those Spearmen could be devastating. Cannon are setting up to try and take down the Mangonels. Mangonel getting a beautiful shot in here though. As things stand, it looks like Bad Koala has the edge in this fight, thanks to the men-at-arms, but you see some horse archers coming back though, and those are going to start picking apart all the infantry. The cavalry is still trying to find something to kill as they're being pursued by all of those horse archers. Down south, Yo is assembling a force, pushing the base of Beasty more and more. Beasty's team is on the back foot, but they have a consistent gold income with the trade. If they can stall this out, there is still a good chance for them to potentially launch a counterattack. Horse archers will pursue the knights. Vivi is doing the right thing. He knows exactly that he's going to lose these forces. So the best thing he can do is split up and inflict as much damage as he can. Make sure that the Muslim is forced to pursue as long as possible. Stone walls coming up all the way on the right side by the Fat Dragon. Spearmen slaughtering all the villagers of Vivi in the middle. Soon, trade card numbers will be more relevant than villager numbers. So you can start affording to lose villagers at this point. Looks like the Muslims team will be able to repel the attack on the north for the time being, and the knights from Vivi are getting cleaned up. So, as things stand, Beasty's team managed to hold this, but you got some stone walls coming in for Vivi's team, so ultimately, this could be a very long game, because we're just now getting closer and closer to stalemate. Both sides are successful with the defense, but they failed to do decisive damage on the opponent. In the middle, Vivi is still trying to hold this forward position. You will soon have to start looking at the forests, though. Especially for the Rus players, because they'll have to use a ton of wood to make their horse archers, and forests are starting to run low, as you see, many of them already being depleted. Castle up here for Vivi as he's raining down death and destruction on all of those horse archers. One bombard is out. Villagers are repairing this. Mangonel also joined the party. With the boiling oil, with the mangonel, those spearmen shouldn't be able to do that much, but there is a lot of them coming in. Down south, here comes a massive push though from Mr. Yo. Mangonels are setting up though from Beastyqt, and just a single volley could wipe out the entire army of Mr. Yo. Yo in retreat, and you see the deer stones are being pulled up, and that's going to give the movement speed to the Mangonels. The Mangonels are now getting some very, very good hits on Yo's forces. And now Lancers are about to jump on them. Bombard setting up for Mr. Yo as well, trying to snap the Mangonels, but this could be a disaster for Mr. Yo. 4 Mangonels shooting at him. There's a conversion attempt by Mr. Yo. Warrior Monk is gonna get killed before the conversion succeeds. Horse archers from the Muslim moving in and pushing all of those forces from Mr. Yo back up north. Vivi once again getting some heavy cavalry on the battlefield, but he runs into braced spearmen as we speak. Sacred sites, it is 1 for each team right now. Stone walls coming up here for Vivi, but just a little too late. And now the horse archers from the Muslim could come into play. This sacred site currently being neutral, could be captured by anyone. Spearman pretty much is the only unit that Beastyqt is making, and we're seeing more and more spearmen coming in from Recon. So he's not going to have any more heavy cavalry on the battlefield. Notably, their trade is already set up pretty well, whereas on the other side, you still see basically no trade for White Wolf Palace, and that's getting worrisome for them, I would say. If you think about it, at this point, you have 1300 gold per minute for Recon. For Vivi, that's 600, so double the gold income for the pocket player as opposed to the opponent. Looks like both sides are regrouping here, as we do have a Springald getting sniped down over here. I'm not even sure what that Springald was doing there. Yo is also regrouping. The walls are still unfinished, so the moment this castle is broken through, there's a chance for these units to pass here and get into the eco. Looks like the knights will do a great job at absorbing the arrow fire, and this is not a fight that the Muslim wants to take. You see, he's losing dozens of horse archers over here. Those knights just did a perfect job absorbing the arrow fire, and that's at least 20 dead bodies out there. Mangonels getting some nice shots out there. With the flaming arrows, Yo is going to be able to out-micro them and take them down. Knights once again coming in from Beasty here. This is 2 versus 1 right now against Mr. Yo. Yo is being heavily outnumbered. Up north, though, this gives a chance for Vivi and Beastyqt to play 2 versus 1. I just want to highlight how many horse archers we're seeing from the Muslim, though, because he seems to be everywhere. The Muslim, indeed, 109 horse archers right now, and obviously, he's able to split them into 2 groups. Mangonel is now crawling up as well for Beasty. Yo is in full retreat, and currently, it is the horse archer numbers that swing it in the favor of the Muslim team. 109 as opposed to Mr. Yo only having 53. It's double the horse archer numbers, and that allows the Muslim to help out on both sides with 2 groups of about 50. Now, this castle in the middle is being shelled by a bombard. The Muslims team slowly but surely pushing this one, and with this keep going down, the base of Mr. Yo is wide open. Vivi was trying to wall this up, but it was just a little too late. There is still a way to recover here for White Wolf Palace, but I feel like they need something other than infantry from the Mongol player. They need something that gives them a little more population efficiency now in late game. Potentially Lancers like Beasty is doing. But of course, you need a good gold income for that, and that's the biggest thing missing for White Wolf Palace. Beasty has 3000 gold per minute. That's basically more than the entire White Wolf Palace team combined. It, in fact, is so big that it could justify Beastyqt just going for trade with the Speed network and slinging his teammates gold. Because he's probably the one with the most efficient trade. Might as well just trade with most of his population and sling his teammates. Up north, horse archers now are crawling up. That's just a scary blob of horse archers. Any aggression up north? Looks like there is none. White will need to take one extremely good engagement over here to swing this back in their favor, because now they are in full retreat. They're setting up their trade as we speak, but that's still a long way from completion. And as I said, you'll take a look at Beastie's trade, 387 per trip, and of course a bunch of extra resources as well, especially stone is something that's really valuable this late in the game. As opposed to the trade of Bad Koala having 322, and I think Vivi's trade cards were delivering even less. Indeed, it's 309 only, so way better trade right now for the team of Beastyqt. Currently looking at the KDs, 660 kills by Recon. Most of these players have at least 300 kills by now. Horse archers in the massive groups now. Bad Koala is pulling up with Mangonels, though Mangonels getting some beautiful volleys out, but they will miss most of the horse archers. And I wouldn't be surprised to see the horse archers splitting up and trying to take those down. Men-at-Arms join the party as we speak. It looks like the pocket player Recon is just now going for full Spearman Mangonels. Once again getting some nice volleys out, but Flaming Arrows will start swinging this battle in the favor of the Rose player once again. Men-at-Arms soaking up a lot of arrow fire. Mangonels actually getting some beautiful hits out now. One of them is still alive. Last one is gonna get taken down. As we speak, another rock comes out, killing quite a few horse archers here, and the Spearman were also able to get some beautiful hits. Those Men-at-Arms tanking up the arrow fire definitely did the work here, because they allowed the Spearmen to get close, they allowed the Mangonels to get some nice hits in. Down south, now it's Mr. Yo moving up. Oh boy, that's a disaster for him. Beastie with 7 Mangonels trying to hold off all of those horse archers. Yo's response is gonna be Springolds. He's got the extra range from the Rus as well. 13.5 range on those. White Wolf Palace still in full retreat. And oh, I just love this from the Muslim. Somewhere on this wall, probably down south, there is a hole. And that hole is just hurting White Wolf Palace so much. Just 3 horse archers in the trade is enough to destroy your entire game plan, your entire future in this game. And now you see Vivi's knight numbers getting decimated. Those 3 horse archers might be game winning for the Muslim, because they're able to cut down the trade of White Wolf Palace so effectively. And that's just going to mean that the gold income is way better for Beastie's team. And obviously that's going to translate into way better heavy cavalry numbers, because that's your only gold unit on the battlefield nowadays. And of course siege. Down south, Yo is holding this one, but the north is slowly collapsing as you see the horse archers crawling closer and closer to those walls. And we are about to see those walls being blasted through, I believe. Down south, knights are also coming in from Beastie, so as much as I was praising the Muslim for getting a lot of horse archers into that trade, we also got some lancers going here. And now, this is the hole that they have been using. They managed to blast their way through this one, and now there's a chance for those lancers to flood in. And the horse archers, they commit. The Muslim knows exactly that he has enough eco to potentially replenish like 20-30 horse archers in a matter of moments. He probably has like 50 queued up already. And having all those horse archers move in and kill 50 villagers from the opponent's food eco is game winning. You have the mobility, you can run around and kill as much as you can, and you see this is exactly what he's doing. The only thing that he could still do, aside from this, is split up and just place those horse archers in 6 different groups around the eco of the opponent. Currently, having 117 horse archers as opposed to Mr. Yo's... actually, Yo's got 139. Holy potatoes, that's a lot of horse archers from Yo. 139 horse archers out here. The Muslims' forces will be taken down here. Still, Vivi lost a lot of food eco, so if you look at Vivi's economy right now, he still has 109 villagers, but a lot of food eco was lost. A lot of gold eco was lost with those traders being taken out, and you see, horse archers are just trickling into the eco of White Wolf Palace here without an ending. Now you see Bombard scrolling up here for Beastie. He's about to blast his way through these walls. Springolds setting up for Yo, trying to snap down the Bombards, but with the Lancers jumping on the Springolds, it's not going to be possible. Mangonels and Bombards still on the battlefield. Springolds all gone. There is one more actually. It will be taken down by that Lancer though. Now the Warrior Monks will jump on those siege weapons, so many of them could actually bite the dust as well. Horse Archers still forcing Yo to pursue, and you see the Muslim is just going for trade cards. He knows exactly that cutting off that gold income could be the game-winning move, and it likely will be the game-winning move. And now you see more and more heavy cavalry on the battlefield for Recon. They have had a good trade going for a long time, so now they can afford to get some heavy cavalry out, or even men-at-arms. Men-at-arms cost some gold, but it's not a ton of gold to talk about. And that's obviously something that's going to help being able to afford it. Castle goes down here for Vivi. He's trying to get some more knights on the battlefield, but of course against that many spearmen, that's gonna be difficult. Koala arrives on the battlefield with a bunch of men-at-arms and spearmen though. On the north, Horse Archers from the Muslim are cleaned up, but the economy of White Wolf Palace has basically collapsed. If you look at the eco, Beast is at 506, or 5,600, excuse me, 5,600 gold income per minute. That's more than all other 5 players combined. He's basically the one that's responsible for the trade of his team. And that's perfectly fine. That's exactly what you want to do. You are the one taking all the trade. And that means that your teammates can invest their population into army. And that means that you can just sling your teammates gold whenever you want to. Down south, you still have some Lancers trickling in. There is still a gold mine to take here for either side, but this has just been a battlefield for so long that no one was really able to take this one as of yet. Looks like White Wolf Palace managed to stabilize, but they're constantly on the back foot. And as things stand, the trade is just lacking for them. You don't see enough trade cards to compensate for all that Beasty has. Beasty's got a gigantic amount of trade cards all across the map. You also have quite a lot for Recon, but you see those are way less effective than the ones from Beasty. They carry like 260 gold per minute back, as opposed to like 360 from Beasty. And now, with that extra gold, you can start affording knights once again for Recon. You can get some men-at-arms on the battlefield, and Vivi is now in full horseman mode. On the left side, Beasty is preparing another push, and on the right side, things are slowly collapsing for White Wolf Palace. This has to be a very long game for them to have any chance of recovery, because as things stand, they just don't have the gold income to get heavy cavalry on the battlefield, and they really have to rely on Vivi's heavy cavalry at this point. Horse Archer numbers are still really good for Mr. Yo. On the left side, we have a push being assembled now by Beasty though, and I think this is the most important thing. Beasty's army value is much bigger than Bat Koala's one. You have about 22 Lancers here and a lot of Mangonels. In this situation, it's probably worth way more than Men-at-Arms and Spearmen. Because one of the most precious resources in Imperial Age is population. A Wonder by Beasty. Oh boy, where is that? Remember, for Beasty, he had a gigantic trade, and what's bigger is that for the Mongols, they don't need to spend stone on their Wonder. It's 4,000 food, 4,000 wood, 4,000 gold. Just for a reference, 4,000 gold is less than a minute worth of gold income for Beastie, so it was like, oh yeah, I can afford this, sure thing. And of course that starts a Wonder countdown. In 15 minutes of time, if White Wolf Palace can't take it down, it's game over for them. But honestly, I don't think this game is gonna last 15 minutes. Because they're already on the back foot, you see the Knights are about to push in, and that's just a ton of Mangonels out here to fight against. Oh boy. Oh boy. And you see, Beastie isn't messing around. He wants to make sure that a Wonder Snipe is not even an option. Double layer stone walls coming up as well. Castles, towers. Beastie is not even caring about his army anymore. He's like, okay, I'm done with this. I'm just gonna make 15 million bombard towers out here, supported by some stone walls. It's a bit of a underwhelming thing that the trade is gonna be disrupted because of this one temporarily, but it is what it is. White Wolf Palace needs to push this one right now. Now, there is going to be a counterattack happening, and don't underestimate the fact that 15 minutes is a long time. Still, you just don't see that momentum for White Wolf Palace at this point. This is the biggest concern from them. We haven't seen that momentum for a long time. Now, there is technically one way back into this game for them, and that would be getting into that trade somehow. If they can blast their way through those walls and knock out like 80% of Beastie's trade, then suddenly the resource incomes will even out and they can slowly grind down their opponents. Of course, they still have to work towards that Wonder, and now you see Recon once again appearing with those gold heavy units, and those are just much more valuable at this point. Horse archers doing a beautiful job keeping track of those horsemen. And that's exactly what the Muslim wants to do. They know exactly that they will try to blast through the north because that's the easiest way through those walls. Single layer only in certain sections. And there's just no enemy forces out there. Horse archers from Yo will be sent in to the middle to try and clean this up. But as you see, Vivi's population isn't looking spectacular now. Only 53 army is not amazing in Imperial Age. He's getting some Royal Knights back on the battlefield, but they're just too much behind when it comes to their gold income. Wonder at 12 minutes time. Beasty, he's at 500 gold per minute only. What happened here? Something happened to his trade because he's down to 500 gold per minute, but it's gonna reset very soon. Beastyqt+'s gold income is so bad that it's actually -0 out here. Sacred sites in the hands of the Muslims team as well. So at this point, look at this. Wonder countdown is at 12 minutes, but the Sacred Site countdown starts at 10. So you first have to neutralize the Sacred Site for White Wolf Palace, then have to take down the Wonder. That just seems impossible. It just seems impossible given how big the army advantage is for Beastyqt and the StrealBoras. White Wolf Palace tap out, and in a 1 hour long crazy game that was very, very back and forth, we have seen Beasty's food eco getting harassed so much. The Muslim was on the back foot for so long. They slowly grind down their opponents, and really, the fact that they could stop their trade earlier is something that was massive. Vivi is a little too slow tapping out, but his two teammates have already resigned. Best game number 1 we have seen in this tournament, and winning on a neutral map is just extremely important. You see, there were some horse archers here from Yo. They wanted to send them in. They knew exactly that their only chance is to hit the trade, get the kills on the trade cards, because if you do that, then you can potentially get back in terms of economy, even things out, and then take a slow progress forward to finish the game. But of course, with that Wonder, they were on the timer. Ultimately, it doesn't come down to the Wonder though, it comes down to this. Beastyqt has made 79,000 gold worth of trade income. Some of that, of course, was mine, but the majority of this one is probably going to be trade. 51,000 as well for Recon. Vivi at 50,000 as well himself. The Muslim, of course, quite low because he is Rus, so he doesn't really need that. He isn't even mining it. Yo with 33,000 as well for him. But ultimately, this is probably the biggest deciding factor. Recon also 99,000 food as opposed to 86,000 from the Fat Dragon. So that's also a considerable difference between the two players. Though Yo had 93,000 food himself as opposed to the Muslims 65,000. 972 kills to 739 deaths for the Muslim. 40 buildings destroyed, 5 lost. For Recon, 906 kills, 929 losses. Other side, the KDs weren't so spectacular. 546 kills and 820 units lost by Beastyqt. Vivi also 760 kills, 890 losses out there. This game, we had players reaching Castle Age at the 8-minute mark. And we have gotten a 1 hour long game over here. 7 relics, by the way, for the Muslim. I think, wait, that has to be wrong. Never mind, that's wrong. That's wrong. Because the Muslim actually had his relics ejected from the monastery. And when that happens and you re-garrison them, it counts as relic captured again. So this is not 7 relics. You physically can't have 11 relics in a 3v3. That's less for the Muslim. I think he had 3 or 4 at maximum. Nonetheless, absolutely spectacular game out here. I wouldn't be surprised to see the players taking a short break as well. We'll most likely go for a short break ourselves because we only have completed game number 1. So grab yourself some refreshments. The players will do the exact same thing because game number 2, the first home map of White Wolf Palace, is only just about to begin. Welcome back everyone to Beastyqt and the StrealBoras versus White Wolf Palace. We're going to the home map of White Wolf Palace over here since they are the losers of game number 1. It is going to be Danube River, and we already have the civilizations for both teams. Recon's team is going to pick Chinese, Holy Roman Empire, and English, whereas on the other side, Mr. Yo's team will pick the Delhi Sultanate, the Chinese, and the Holy Roman Empire. So Chinese HRE on both sides. The only difference is that Beasty's team does not go for the Delhi Sultanate, which is a little risky, could leave your fishing eco exposed quite early on. On the other hand, English, being a very good all-around civilization, very good with the early aggression, that could also be a factor to consider. And of course, English is a civilization that Beasty's team loves to use, so part of the reason why that could have been picked over here as well, over the Delhi. Chinese Holy Roman Empire, of course, late-game juggernauts, Holy Roman Empire with great economy. Having that fast Imperial work for you gives a chance to get some demolition ships going, which I'm very certain that many people are already anxious to see. Some people will call them overpowered, and I'm not saying that they're wrong, but one thing is sure, demolition ships look spectacular currently. They could probably use a nerf on their range, because they work like nuclear torpedoes, but they sometimes deliver some spectacular scenes, and that's not something that we can deny. So with that, we have the players almost done setting up lobby. They also took a couple of minutes of break as well. Of course, because if you think about it, they just finished a very, very, very exhausting game number 1. 1 hour long game here, so attrition is something that could set in for these players. And this was only game number 1. The longest game I think we had in the entire tournament. Very long, very grindy, and very back and forth as well. Now we're going to Danube River, a map that also has the tendency of going late in many cases. This is one of those maps where one bad move could end up losing the game for you. One demolition ship could sink an entire army. But also this is one of those maps where you have a little bit more room for error compared to open maps, simply because it's a little easier to hold your own positions on your side of the river. And that could help quite a bit, because if you can slow down games, even if you fall behind, you will have a chance of a slow recovery, unlike open maps like Arabia, Lipany, or Highview. After this set, we'll have the second semifinals, and tomorrow on Sunday at 14 GMT, you will have the grand finals of AoE4 Pro League. The winner of the two semifinals will be fighting it off in a best of 7. Now, of course, you might say, hey, a best of 7 could be long, but that's not actually what we're seeing so far, because now that we have seen quite a lot of sets going, I have to say that the average length of the games is around 25 to 30 minutes, so we have seen an exceptional and very long first game over here, but usually the length of the games is much shorter, so a best of 7 is not going to last 7 hours, that's for sure. Looks like all of the players are in the lobby. You are going to have a bit of a substitution over here, because Bad Koala is going to be in. Lix is going to be in as well, and I believe Vivi as well, which means that Mr. Yo is unlikely to play in game number 2. We've talked about this one. Beasty's team is going to have only 3 players, so all of them play in every single game, of course, but White Wolf Palace has 4 players that are being rotated between games, so you're actually going to see all 4 of those players making an appearance. Of course, this gives them a fresh player to step in, and that's something that's immensely helpful. On the other hand, you also have to consider that they are splitting their share of the prize pool to 4 portions instead of 3 portions, so obviously each player gets less prize money. So that's the trade-off that you're taking over here. For the tournament, you could sign up with a roster of a minimum of 3 but a maximum of 5 players, so some teams could have even done 5 players. We have rarely seen that being done. Of course, that would give you 2 extra fresh players, but once again, you're splitting the prize money to smaller portions, so there is that trade-off. Looks like the game is launching, so it's time to get hyped for game number 2. This is an extremely important game here. If White Wolf Palace ends up losing this, that's gonna be a heartbreaker. We've talked about game number 1 a lot here. This is a very close game. Definitely was winnable in certain times for White Wolf Palace. If they end up losing the second game here as well, that's gonna be a heartbreaker, because they'll be down 2 games, especially if the second game is also a close one. They will be looking at the score and saying, okay, it's 2-0, and oftentimes closing out the close games is what separates an elite team from a great one. Alrighty, so game number 2 is up, and it's time for us to get ready. You will see the civilizations appearing on the screen in a matter of moments. We're going to Danube River, which is the home map of... We will have Bad Koala with the Delhi Sultanate in teal. Lix is going to be using the Holy Roman Empire in green. And last but not least, Vivi is going to have the Chinese with purple. On the left side, Recon is going to have the English as the red player. The Muslim is going to have the yellow Holy Roman Empire. And Chinese will be the civilization of Beasty in blue. Now, of course, when you think about Chinese, you oftentimes associate them with the Fire Lancer play. But from what we have seen from Beasty in this tournament so far on Danube River, oftentimes he prefers to go for the Palace Guard plus Nest of Beasts combination, supported by some Bombards. So it's very possible that we're going to have one player that does not go for Fire Lancers with the Chinese. Usually, the play with the Chinese is Fire Lancers, and there is definitely some risk involved when it comes to deviating from that meta. But that extra Man-at-Arms style unit, the Palace Guard, being on the battlefield could help a lot as well. So we'll have to see how that combination works out for Beasty if he decides to go for that. Of course, the first point to look at will be how Bad Koala and Recon open up their game, because now that there is no Delhi on the side of Beasty's team, the Delhi from Bad Koala could just move up and get some damage done with the fishing ships as they go up to Feudal Age. But also, Recon's longbows will be able to do quite a lot of harassment. Forward towers are always an opportunity. I think the biggest thing though, and that's going to be the biggest question mark, is how Beasty's team is going to defend against tower rushes, because part of the reason why having the Delhi Sultanate available and used on this map is because with the Delhi, you have the fishing ships that can repel aggression from scouts, you have the fishing ships that can repel towers aggression early on until you have one player with some sort of military on the battlefield. So having the Delhi there negates a lot of early aggression potential from your opponent, whereas not having it there, as you see for Beasty's team, could potentially open up opportunities for VV, Lix, or Bad Koala to do damage with even just scouts in Dark Age. I could see 2, maybe even 3 extra scouts added from the town center in an attempt to just burn down docks, because that would be a very nice way of playing this, I do believe. As you see on the screen, we have 2 minutes to go until game number 2, Beasty and the StrealBoras versus White Wolf Palace. Recon, Beasty, and the Muslim did play this map as well in the previous round, and looking at their performance, that was a spectacular game. If you missed that game, I 100% recommend you to watch that versus Eric, Kalazur, and State. That was one of the best sets of the entire tournament. Recon, Beasty, and the Muslim were on the back foot for a long time. And then Eric, Kalazur, and State start building a wonder. Their reaction, Beasty's team goes for a wonder themselves. They actually win that by like a minute. And then ultimately it comes down to a push on that wonder with Bombards. It was just a crazy, crazy game out there. One of the best games I've seen. Definitely worth checking out. So the bottom line with that is that Beasty's team was on the back foot for a long time in that game, and they ended up closing out a very, very close game. So I don't think that they can afford to fall that much behind against White Wolf Palace, and it's something that they will have to pay attention to for sure. When will these be on YouTube? Hopefully very soon. You will see the quarterfinals appearing probably today, and the semifinals will probably hit YouTube by tomorrow. And of course, once we have the grand finals, that's also going to be up on YouTube. So it's being popped out as fast as possible. So don't worry, everything will be uploaded to YouTube as full sets. As we close out the spec countdown, we're jumping into game number 2. Beastyqt, the Muslim, and the Recon with blue, yellow, and red versus teal, green, and purple. Vivi is going to be handling the Chinese. Lix is going to have the Holy Roman Empire, and Batqual is going to have the Delhi Sultanate, as opposed to Recon having the English, the Muslim having the Holy Roman Empire, and the Beastyqt having the Chinese. As the spectator countdown comes to an end, we're jumping into game number 2. Very important game for both teams. For White Wolf Palace, they need to make sure they don't fall behind by 2 games, and for Beastyqt and the StrealBoras, they could potentially put White Wolf Palace into a very difficult position if they secure a win here as well and make it 2-0. On the left side, we will have Beastyqt and the StrealBoras, with Beasty playing as the blue Chinese. Recon is going to have the red English, and you're going to have the Muslim playing as the yellow Holy Roman Empire. On the other side, you will have Lix playing as the Holy Roman Empire in green. In the pocket, you will have Bat Koala playing as the teal with Delhi Sultanate. And on the far right, you're going to have Vivi playing as the Chinese in purple. So both Chinese players are at the edge of the maps as we speak. And I love how Beasty is just pulling away that wolf, making sure the villager does not get hurt by that wolf. That's a nice little touch, but it definitely is something that's going to help a tiny bit, making sure that villager is able to get that dog up nice and safely. Was already coming up here for Recon, so you see, since they don't have Delhi, early scout aggression from the opponent is always a possibility, and you are going to try and negate that by going for some super early walls here by Recon. These walls are coming up at 1 minute. Looks like we're going to have a no dock just yet from the Muslim. That's sometimes the case with the Holy Roman Empire, because what you do is basically have your teammates fishing, and they will just donate their sheep to you, so you will gather the sheep with the Aachen Chapel, and of course the Prelate's boosting ability. So we have seen that being a thing for Holy Roman Empire, but we've also seen them fishing in some cases, because fishing oftentimes is a very nice source of extra food, regardless of the circumstances. As things stand, we have one player coming out with a couple of fishing boats. Vivi is dropping that dock up north. No dog from the Delhi player just yet, no Voz either, and Beasty is now coming in with that first scout, trying to harass that villager on that dock. This could be a villager killed here, because I don't see any forces nearby that could help, although now Vivi is pulling a scout over here, so there is going to be a chance to repel that scout aggression. That villager is still at 38 HP, and you see, at this point with the scout arriving for Vivi, he should be able to discourage that aggression out there, and oh, Bat Koala isn't messing around. He isn't messing around at all. He's not even dropping his own dock on his side of the river. He's coming in with 2 villagers up front, bowling off this crossing, and he's going to make fishing ships right next to the opponent's base. The opponent has no Delhi, so they can't really fight back. And of course, at the beginning of the game, the damage output from those fishing ships is not big enough to compensate for the passive healing ability of the docks. But this means that you're almost guaranteed to be able to push the opponent's fishing eco as you go up to Feudal Age, because Recon won't be able to wall off this crossing perpendicular to his already existing walls. So these fishing ships will 100% be guaranteed to get here and kill the fish. That's a clever idea. It's a very clever idea here from Bat Koala. Beasty taking a lot of damage on that scout, but he's not going to end up losing it. As things stand, you're going to have the villager, though, from Bat Koala taking a lot of damage from that wolf, and you got to be careful, because plans like these often fall apart with 1 or 2 wolves finding your forward veil. It looks like there is no dock from Lix, there is no dock from the Muslim, and there was a dock coming up for Recon. So, despite the fact that Recon is likely playing with some longbow aggression, there is going to be a fishing for him. As things stand, I'm curious to see if Recon even knows about those walls, and yes, he does. So, they know exactly what's coming up. One thing that they don't know about, though, is this dock. So they could still be caught as a surprise with those fishing ships arriving so fast. Prelate working out nice and easy here for the Muslim. He has quite a lot of villagers on gold. Makes me wonder if he's going for a direct fast castle here, because there are multiple ways that you can play a Holy Roman Empire fast castle. Sometimes just rush Feudal Age, get the Aachen Chapel, spend a little more time in Feudal Age, But to me, the Muslim being this heavy on the goal department is a sign that he doesn't want to spend a lot of time in feudal. He just wants to stay a little longer in Dark Age and then go straight to Castle Age from feudal. So he's gonna pile up a bunch of resources to click up to Castle Age with. And here come the fishing ships. It's gonna be a little narrow over here. If you've been around in 2021, you remember the Suez Canal blocked by one of those big ships. It reminded me to this, but guess what? Now you have the fishing ships coming in. And this is what I was talking about. These won't do a lot of damage, but these will be just enough to push back Beast's fishing eco into his docks. And it is going to be one player Batqual delaying two players. You need at least 4 fishing ships to have enough damage output to compensate for the passive healing ability of the docks. But the ability to just harass these fishing ships, force them into the dock, is already an accomplishment. And you see, this is why having Delhi on this map is just so vital. Because if you don't have Delhi, this is exactly the thing that's gonna get done to you. There's just no way for you to repel a Dark Age aggression here. And I love this move from Batquala. We have a dock out here on the left side as well. The Muslim has gotten some fishing eco up in the end. Guess what? The scouts will find it, and since you don't have a Delhi player that's capable of getting some fishing ships out that repels this aggression, you might not be able to keep that dock alive either. Up north, we have a couple more fishing ships coming in here. Batquala isn't messing around, and at this point, the aim is clear. You want to delay the Chinese player because that's the best and most important late game player of both teams. Having the Chinese delayed is a delay on the Fire Lancers, is a delay on their Song Dynasty boom. So being able to delay those is immensely valuable. As you see, Beasty is going to have a lot of idle time on his fishing eco. Some of those fishing ships are still alive, but you already see the dock here from the Muslim being burned down. There is a galley coming out though, and this galley might be here just in time. Oh, this is a little risky now for White Wolf Palace, because as you see, the Barbican of the Sun is coming in for Beastie, so he's going to have some control over this choke point. And the bigger thing is that this galley comes in just in time for the Muslim. And if that galley is out, this dock is going to stay alive. I think if you are Batqua's team, you want to set it on fire and then run. That's exactly what we're seeing. They're trying to do as much damage as they can. The Muslim is going to have to pull a villager to repair this one, because otherwise it's going to burn down. But otherwise, he will be able to keep it alive. And now the galley can sail north and kill all of those fishing ships, because while the fishing ships are somewhat dangerous against unarmed vessels of the opponent, once you got some combat ships out, these bad boys, these galleys, will be able to sink them very effectively. A couple of towers out here from Batquad, and he's making a barracks up front as well. He probably wants to just fortify this location as much and deny the trade of the opponent. Or trade? No, not trade, but food eco. Here comes another galley as well, so now you have one from the Muslim and one from Recon. That should be enough to push back the fishing eco of Batkoala. Now, he's the one that's not gonna have any kind of food income from fishing. There is a couple of towers here though, and you gotta be careful when you go close to those towers. The longbows will have to take the long way around though, and that's one of the biggest accomplishments of Batkoala here. Having that wall up means that at this point, the longbows have to walk all the way around. They can't just march in here and make towers with villagers, deny the food eco. So, part of the reason why having this wall up here for Batkoala is because he wanted to deny those longbows from being able to hit the fishing eco directly, and that's going to be a great accomplishment from him. Barbican of the Sun coming in here for Vivi. He already aged up with the Imperial Academy though, so that's going to mean that he's going to have Song Dynasty coming in. That is before his second town center is completed. Beastie coming in with a junk as well. There are 2 towers over here, and they have some spearmen and villagers garrisoned inside those. So, as I said, you gotta be very careful with those junks. I love this aggression from Batkoala, because as things stand, those 2 towers are pretty much cutting off the naval forces of Beastie's team into half. Longbows moving up though, and you see Lix wanted to go for a dock here. The idea was clear. You make a dock with the Holy Roman Empire, and you could even go for a couple of galleys yourself, but ultimately, your main weapon would have been the Hawks. Lix just reached Castle Age, so a couple of Hawks, couple of demolition ships could have already been an idea. The Muslim is going to start walling off the left side because he knows exactly that any moment you could have some ships passing, especially demolition ships, in these narrow quarters. It's going to be difficult to fight. If you look at the income per minute for a brief moment, BV with 840 food per minute though. His fishing eco was completely untouched, and now you see the result. We're talking about 20 fishing ships for him. Meanwhile, on the other side, the other Chinese player has 15. So despite the fact that Beasty was suffering from a lot of pressure, his fishing ship count is also pretty decent. His dock here from Lix is gonna get denied. Those longbows are doing work, and now suddenly you're going to need something that kills those longbows. Wouldn't be surprised to see some knights from Lix. Indeed, stick goes up, a couple of knights will pop out, and Lix is going to start moving towards those relics. Castle Age is also in for the Muslims, so he's also working towards picking up a couple of relics for his Regnitz Cathedral. As things stand, those longbows should not be able to accomplish that much with the knights being around. Up north, you see that Recon is slowly trying to blast his way through those walls, but that's not really going to be possible at this point. It's going to be a very slow process. Towers up for Bad Koala. I love this angle from the Muslim. This is going to deny a lot of fishing here, and it just corners Bad Koala in this right-hand side pocket here, and this galley is still staying outside the range of those towers. In the middle, you do have Lix's villager being intercepted by Recon's scout. This was the villager that was meant to build this dock, but now it gets intercepted by the scout. Simultaneously, we have the knight intercepting the longbows of Recon, so Recon's forces are also going to get cleaned up. Love how he's splitting up his longbows though. He's trying to do some scouting with them, he's trying to do some damage. Even if one longbowman gets in and kills one or two villagers, that's value at this point for them. Meanwhile, for VV, he's already up to the second town center. Astronomical clock tower coming in for him. For our blue player, Beasty is on 2 town centers as well. He's still mining stone though, so a third town center is not impossible. As it stands, we have a Dao now out for Bad Koala though. Tonight he's up to Feudal Age, he's gonna get some combat ships out as well. And he's just very resilient and very motivated to fight this. Even Vivi is joining the party over here. I wonder if that's gonna be some war junks, but there's a demolition ship coming in here from the Muslim, and he's going to pop that. He's going for the fishing eco, and I think that may have been a mistake here. He could have killed that villager and delayed, potentially even denied this dock here from Vivi. Now Vivi's got a dock up, the villager is gonna get picked off by the galley, but it's a little too late, and now you can see some demolition ships coming in here from the Fat Dragon as well. On the left side, you got some wars attempted by the Muslim. You will have the Knight and the Scout intercepting that villager out there. Longbows still denying this dock. Lix is still thinking about getting that up, and once he gets one Knight to clean up those longbows, there's a chance that he could do that. Imperial Age already in for the Muslim though, so you know what that means. It means the explosives upgrade, and then just getting those super powerful demolition ships in. Demolition ship already moving in though from Vivi, and Vivi's also got a war junk over here, so Vivi's got a lot of firepower. Made a dock out here as well, and he's just sinking all of those combat vessels, simultaneously picking off all the fishing ships as well. Fishing ships will garrison into the docks, demolition ships coming in for the Muslim. But at this point, with a couple more demolition ships for Vivi, he could easily take those docks down before the Muslim can get some combat vessels out. Meanwhile, down south, the Knights are cleaning up the longbows, and that's going to give a chance for Lix to get his own docks up. Lix going up to Imperial Age right now with the Palace of Swabia. Towers coming in here from Beast to deny this part of the river from their opponents. And here comes the first demolition ship. It's not even a demolition ship right now for the Muslim, that's just the explosive stack. The Karak is going to be the unit of choice here instead for the Muslim. It's a little risky because a Karak could be sunk very, very easily by demolition ships. However, the Karak is very powerful against buildings, and it's going to be pretty decent versus war junk as well. Demolition ship now coming in though from Vivian. That's 2 war junks. Karak is going to fire a volley and take down the first demolition ship, but with tower fire, 2 war junks shooting at you, it's going to be very difficult to keep that Karak alive. And that's a pretty expensive ship over here. Fishing ships pop out to keep repairing it, and you see every single fishing ship will be dispatched to keep the repairs on. That war junk is almost down, and if it goes down, I don't think that Vivi has enough firepower to sink that Karak. The fishing ships are doing just enough work to heal it up, to keep it alive, and we have a second Karak coming in here. Demolition ship, though, about to pop out for Vivi here, and it looks like the Muslim runs out of wood, which means that he can no longer repair that Karak. Demolition ship coming out for the Muslim, though. He's about to get a beautiful hit in here just before that war junk pops out. That's the perfect timing for the Muslim. Sinks 2 with that Karak. That was just a spectacular timing over there. Second Karak now out. And now you're getting those docks taken down. Down south, you have demolition ships coming in as well from Vivi. You have those green demos crawling up. They do have the explosive stacks as well. No, they don't. It's just now being researched. So we're still missing that. Bad Koala making towers with his villagers on stone wall sections. Right now they have a majority map control, and White Wolf Palace also grabbing the sacred sites. They are looking in a very, very strong position right now. Towers are coming up for Bad Call as well up north. They just want to hit the fishing eco of Beasty as much as possible. The Muslim's fishing eco is now gone, although there are some carracks over here, and those are very good versus buildings. Demolition ships now with explosives as well. 4 licks rolling up, and now that Dem was going to pop, look at the amount of damage it does. It's like 1300 damage on that combat vessel. Absolutely brutal. Carrack still alive though, and it is shelling these buildings. Demolition ship also coming in from the Muslim. Up north, you do have some towers coming in. You could see some demolition ships popping out really soon. There's a demo from Beasty as well. He could blast his way through the walls of Bad Koala. Down south, the tower is up. Demolition ships will trade evenly against each other. Carrack already setting up to take down this tower. But that Springbolt fire from the tower could do a ton of damage against that vessel. You see, like 90 damage piece. Meanwhile, up north, it's still only towers for Bad Koala. He's garrisoning spearmen inside those. Bad Koala's up to Castle Age, so he could start making the stone wall towers with the infantry as well. If he went with the compound of the defender, he's got Dome of Fate. Yep, it's compound of the defender. So now you can start making stone walls with your infantry. Down south, you already have Recon rolling up with stone walls. And with that, the sacred site will be under the control of White Wolf Palace. Demolition ships from Beasty, though, moving all the way down south. Some knights appearing on the battlefield for Licks. The walls are incomplete. And that's a big problem right now for Beasty's team. They wanted to stonewall themselves off, but the knights coming in from Licks here will deny that. And right now, they don't really have a lot of land forces out here. The White Tower will be built near the shoreline over here for Recon, and he's getting some trebuchets out to try and take down those docks on the other side of the river. On the right, we do have the towers being shelled by the Carracks. They should be able to take them down quite rapidly over here. And somewhat surprisingly, we got some trade being set up here by Recon's team. I think they're realizing that, oh shoot, we're not going to have a lot of gold income here with all those gold mines being close to the river, and we're just having very limited map control, being cut off from the middle. And most of the big golds are either on the middle or on the left side over here. So none of those are really accessible for the team of the Muslim. So they start setting up some trade. But at this point, I think mineable gold is going to be perfectly fine for White Wolf Palace. They're once again able to keep this one open. Villager is going to get picked off. And you just love how Lix is using those knights. He's going to pull them back in the moment he sees those spearmen arriving on the battlefield. He just wants to keep this open as long as possible. Take some more knights. Get some more beef on the battlefield. More demolition ships on the way here for our green player. Some more dogs being placed as well by the Muslim. I love how he's got some demos protecting those Carracks, because he can trade off the demos and then the Carracks can just do all the work, taking down the buildings. In the middle, more stone wall sections are being built by Bad Koala, and I think they're about to go for a sacred site. Vivi appearing on the battlefield with a bunch of Fire Lancers, not something that we have seen so far, and this is why Lix is trying to keep this open as long as possible. Because with the Fire Lancers coming in on the left side, suddenly, the team of the Muslim doesn't have the land army to fight that. You got some Lancers going in, but barely any land army as at this point for Recon. He's grabbing crossbows that won't fare well against the Fire Lancers, but they will deal well with Lix's Knights. And this is the biggest problem, I believe, for Beasty's team. He doesn't have any Fire Lancers on the field. He's an Imperial, but no Fire Lancer just yet. Lix is grabbing that sacred site. Even though the Carracks are pushing up the docks of Lix at this point, there are still 2 demolition ships. One of them will die to the Carracks. The second one should also be taken down. So this aggression on the water has been repelled, more or less. Demolition ship now popping. It's going to trade off against the demo of the opponent. But this is the big deal now. You have a big force of elite Fire Lancers assembling here for Vivi. Look at that trickle of Fire Lancers across the map. This has to be a Spirit Way working, and indeed it is. About 10 docks right now for the Fat Dragon. 12 stables indeed operational, and they're just getting all of those Fire Lancers out there. The Carracks will decimate their numbers, but now we have a Sacred Site victory triggered by White Wolf Palace. 18:30 is the time, which means that in 10 minutes of time, we will have... Oh, look at this! Look at all the massacre coming in here by the Muslim. That choke point out there is just a disaster for Vivi. Carracks, demolition ships, slaughtering all of your Fire Lancers getting through. This is going to be a significant trouble for Vivi, because he wants to reinforce this battlefield through this shallow crossing here. But with demolition ships and Karaks being nearby, you see, you're losing your fire lancers faster than you can reinforce them, and another batch of demolition ships are just now coming in. This could be a disaster for Vivi. He still has good forces in, and he's moving in on the left side, but demolition ships are once again coming in, and you could easily lose 10-15 fire lancers over here. Exactly what we're seeing. Another demolition ship will pop. It's going to destroy the elephant. Actually, it doesn't kill the elephant, it just damages it very heavily. Also sets the walls on fire. Karaks will finish off the work over here. On the left side, though, you got some fire lancers moving in from the Fat Dragon, and those can do a ton of damage to your economy if you're not being cautious. Of course, having the Pulse of Shrabi replenishing the villagers is something that's going to help the Muslim handle this, but keep in mind, there is a Sacred Site countdown going on right now, so it is the Muslims team that have to be aggressive. Recon is preparing for a long game, setting up trade and getting some stone walls going, but at this point, they first need to neutralize one of those Sacred Sites. Ton of fighting going on right now. Karaks are doing a pretty decent job here for the Muslim. I love that idea, because Karaks one-shot demolition ships, so with the range they have, 10, and of course, the ability to one-shot the demolition ships, they're actually a pretty decent response to them. Fire Lancers were mostly taken down. Vivi's regrouping in the middle as we speak. In the central areas, we do have some trebuchets coming up, by the way, by Recon. He's slowly taking down those Vos out there. Some forward buildings from Bad Koala, but he's not really making anything on those. And now, I see the Karaks and demolition ships crawling up. Here comes the demolition ship. One defensive castle here from Lix will somewhat slow down the influx of demos. Demolition ship now coming in here for Lix as well, trading off absolutely evenly. But of course, with all that collateral damage out there, you're going to have the sheep killed, you're going to have the scout, and of course, the dock also being set on fire. And now the Karaks will be able to start taking down that keep out there. As things stand, looks like Beasty is going to be able to finish those stone walls, and now you see a Baoshuan hitting the field. One of the most powerful late-game ships. 12 range on these bad boys, and just dozens of cannons. And I really feel like having this many cannon ship out here could actually work out for the Muslims team. The countdown started at the 18-minute mark, so we still have about 7 minutes to go. More demolition ships are coming in. BV is coming in with Fire Lancers, but if the stone walls are up, the Fire Lancers won't be able to do anything. And you see the Baoshan are also doing a beautiful job decimating the numbers of those Fire Lancers. On the left side, though, Knights from the Muslim now moving in, intercepting quite a lot of those elephants. We got some bombards in from Lix. If they blast their way through these walls, the Fire Lancers can easily kill 1 or 2 players. But if they can't blast their way through, suddenly the ship numbers advantage could actually prove very useful for the Muslims team, because they could cut off the opponents from this crossing. Vivi also coming in with his own Baoshuan, as the crossbows will take some shots on the Fire Lancers, but that's going to be a quite underwhelming fight for the crossbows. Castle still kept alive here by Beasty, as without the charge for these Fire Lancers, the Knights will take some very, very good trades here. And remember, reinforcing this battle for Vivi is extremely difficult. Look at this majestic navy sailing up the river. It is 4 Karaks right now, 2 Baoshuan, and it's going to be met with 1 Baoshuan over here. In the middle, Lancers now charging into the Spearmen of Lix over here. Lix also getting some mangonels going. As things stand, those crossbows don't do much against either the Spearmen or the Fire Lancers. It looks like the forces of the Muslim are going to get pushed back. In the middle, another Baoshuan is out for Vivi. Bit of a traffic jam here, all in the middle. But now, you have the option for the Muslims team to push up with demolition ships into that choke point. On the left side, Fire Lancers charging into the crossbowmen. As expected, crossbows will be taken down. There is about 6 minutes remaining from that countdown on the Sacred Sites. Middle is rather peaceful. Left side, we have some big fights going on, and on the right side as well. The Baoshuan managed to finish off the keep as well. So now, the way for the Muslim and Beasty to sail up the river is clear, and that's exactly what they're doing. They're smashing those Baoshuan in the face. The Barbican of the Sun will be able to hold them off for a slow time, or a short time, excuse me. But not for long, that's for sure. And you see Barbican of the Sun going down here. The wall is definitely going to slow down this advance as well, because it's sort of creating a traffic jam. But eventually you will take down those walls as well. Up north, now you see the Muslims team crawling up with bombards, crawling up with castles, and that's the concerning thing for White Wolf Palace. These Fire Lancers and Spearmen are barely doing anything. Beasty's got fortifications on the left side to handle that. And in the middle, now you see forces from Recon, men-at-arms, being only early, but they will get their upgrades soon enough. They are pushing up, and at this point, the Sacred Site is being neutralized. Recon already has a Spearman out there, and it's supported by one villager from the Muslim. The Sacred Site victory is now cancelled, and now I think the Muslims team is in a commanding position. Because now you got a bunch of Baoshuan coming in, and look at this. There's just no forces for Vivi's team in the middle. They have given up on that completely. There are still some walls over here, with some towers on it for Batclaw, but that's it. You have towers, now keeps, siege workshops coming in for Recon. They're controlling this choke point as we speak. The docks are being taken down, and on the left side, even though these Fire Lancers are pretty scary right now, and they're about to take down one keep, the most important thing at this point is that the stone walls will be able to hold them off for the time being. Whereas if you were looking at the other side of the river, suddenly the Baoshuan are just smashing the docks in the face, and now you have a free entry into the base of White Wolf Palace here. Fire Lancers still moving to the far left side over here, but slowly but surely, the Muslims' knights are grinding down their numbers. We got some men-at-arms and spearmen on the battlefield as well for Lix. Bombards will be intercepted here. Beasty mismicroing a tiny bit as Batclaw is just now reaching Imperial. Of course, with the Delhi, it's gonna take a lot of time to get those upgrades in. But look at this push from Recon. He's going for the man-at-arms, he's going for longbows, and he's probably going to make either a forward castle or some towers here to expand the network of castles bonus. And of course, the Chinese Bombards already crawling up as well. Some walls being built by Beasty. Look at this. He managed to sneak a couple of villagers out on the left side, and that's going to cut off influx of reinforcements potentially from the far left if they can manage to secure this area here. Fire Lancers are still doing work, but ultimately they bump into walls. Whereas on the other side, these demolition ships are about to bait those Fire Lancers in. Beautiful move from the Muslim. Fire Lancers trying to jump on the Carrack. Demolition ship comes in and sinks them. Very nice coordination of units out there. And now you see the Bombards are just heading straight towards the base of what could be Bat Koala. You could knock him out of this game in this very moment, because with the Delhi, he doesn't really have a lot of army. His role wasn't to play a strong late game. His role was to put up a lot of early pressure. Fire Lancers, though, joined the party over here, so they could easily snap down those Bombards, and the army isn't spectacular here for Recon, if I may say so. It's just a handful of men-at-arms, so quickly, Beast is going to call a retreat. But now you see all of those docks cleaned up, so the choke points on the water will be controlled by Beast's team. Bombards, though, blasting their way through these walls, and if they ever get through those walls, those Fire Lancers will be able to do a ton of damage. Meanwhile, Baoshuan still doing a nice work taking down some of those approaching Fire Lancers, but Vivi is sitting at 95 Fire Lancers, so let's not underestimate that. That could be very scary. Love the demolition ships here though from Beastie. They want to make sure that their opponents have as limited movement space as it is humanly possible. The walls, however, overchopped by the Muslim. You see, he had his lumberjacks nearby. I think he overchopped that. There is no villager from the opponents to overchop it. He may have just overchopped that wood line, and this could be a disaster. This could be the momentum that White Wolf Palace needs, because the Fire Lancers are diving in. All the villagers from the Muslim are being pulled to repair that Aachen Chapel. Palace of Schwabia, Regnitz Cathedral, and Town Center all nearby. Spearmen are coming in, though, from Recon to slow this down. I don't think that Vivi has enough time to take all of those landmarks down, but that could have been a game-losing move. Overchopping that wood line, and I feel like if there was just a couple more Fire Lancers in here, they could have sniped down those landmarks fast enough. And you see villagers are being pulled. I think they need to plug that hole in as fast as possible. Fire Lancers now moving to the right side, and I gotta love how Recon is playing this. Stonewalling around his town center. He knows exactly that his opponent will try to go for a landmark snipes, and that's exactly what you do against that. Stonewalling your landmarks, because the Fire Lancers can't do anything against stone walls. You see Nest of Beasts setting up as well. At this point, those Fire Lancers will be able to kill some eco, but that's basically it. On the right side, Fire Lancers once again being assembled by Lix, though. Oh boy. Ton of things going on here all across the map, because while those Fire Lancers were distracting the Muslims team, we shouldn't underestimate the fact that Batclaw is out here for blood, and I love the unit choice. It is the Hand Cannoneer. If you think about it, the Delhi upgrades take a lot of time to research in Imperial. Hand Cannoneers need little upgrades to be effective, and they are actually a very, very good support unit to help out the infantry of Lix. So, as much as these Fire Lancers weren't able to accomplish much, they might try to snipe some of these markets and slow down the trade. They definitely distracted Recon's forces, and at this point in the middle, while the Baoshan are controlling this choke point, there is no push from Beast's team through the river, Vivi is waiting for them with like a dozen of Fire Lancers. Now the infantry flood comes in here, Fire Lancers nowhere near this battlefield anymore. Some hand cannoneers in the party as well. Infantry is going to hold off the knights on the left side though, but on the right side, they're able to jump on the siege weapons. Cannon taking down one keep over here, Fire Lancers from Vivi arriving on the battlefield. The Muslim has some siege workshops over here that are able to reinforce the battlefield with some bombards. But as we speak, the knights of the Muslim are being pushed back. It is Knights from the Holy Roman Empire player versus the other HRE player going for all the infantry play. And at this point, it's just an infantry flood supported by some hand cannoneers from Bad Koala. And the momentum seems to be on the side of White Wolf Palace. Having the water control is very nice for the Muslims team, but they can't really do anything with it because they're getting pushed back on land. And suddenly, it's not going to be about the landmark snipes, it's going to be about that direct push with the bombards from Lix. And at this point, this is looking very grim for the Muslims team. They're getting pushed back very rapidly. We are seeing some spearmen, some Landsknechte in here, and those hand cannoneers are also doing work. As I said, the Delhi upgrades take a lot of time, so the easiest way to contribute immediately is to get a unit that needs minimal upgrades, that being the hand cannoneer. For any other unit, you would have to get the veteran, elite upgrade. Here, you just make the hand cannoneers, and that's actually a very good auxiliary unit as well against the infantry, against the knights, and even to a certain extent against the cavalry of the Muslim here. Bombards on the left side crawling up as well. And now, White Wolf Palace is just flooding infantry into the opponent's base. On the right side, it looks like Vivi is going to redock. And if he is able to redock and sink all of those combat ships, he could also get the Fire Lancers on the battlefield in a matter of seconds. And cannoneers still not in huge numbers here for Bad Koala though, so it looks like, for now, the Muslims team is holding this one. 5, now 6 Nest of Bees coming in, and one thing that's going to shatter all of those hand cannoneers and the infantry as well are going to be Nest of Bees, and if you support them with Clock Tower Bombards, you can snap down the opponent's bombards as well. Looks like Recon and his friends are holding this, but of course, behind this one, you could see Vivi's Fire Lancers appearing on the battlefield anytime. Speaking of which, 62 of them are moving to the far left, and that could be a lethal force. How do you even stop 62 Fire Lancers here? 62 of any cavalry unit is scary, let alone Fire Lancers. Nice volleys of the Nest of Beast fire here on the hand cannoneers. You see the retreat is called by Lix's team, but the most important thing for them right now is to keep this position open. Because as long as this position and this wall is open, the Fire Lancers can come in. Vivi is still trying to get back on the water, trying to make sure that it doesn't have to spend some units here. Defending, a Trebuchet is out for Recon. In the middle, trying to take that keep down, but minimal fighting going on in the middle. Most of the stuff is happening on the left side, as it looks like the Muslim is coming in for a push. But I don't think they're expecting this big force, and a Wonder comes in. A Wonder comes in for White Wolf Palace. No, it's Beasty! It's Beasty! The overlay said defend the Wonder, so I thought it's White Wolf Palace because I'm on Vivi's POV, but it is Beasty's Wonder right now. Oh boy. Fire Lancers looking to get another push here, probably on the far left, trying to blast through those walls because they're realizing that this might be a little too much to handle. You don't want to get into that choke point with 10 Nest of Bees, getting all that firepower out, some bombards as well. Beasty's team is pushing up over here. Hand cannoneers, no meat shield in front, which means that the knights can jump on them, and while the hand cannoneers are great, you need something in front of them. Culverins will be added by Lix here, trying to snipe those siege weapons. You see some Culverins appear on the battlefield as well for the Muslim. Fire Lancers now ready to charge in on the siege weapons though, and in that massive traffic jam, they could do a ton of damage. However, the Nest of Bees are all lined up behind, so many of them will be able to get some nice shots in, and a significant portion of those Fire Lancers are getting torn apart by the fire from the Nest of Bees. Still, many siege weapons will fall here. As things stand, I think it's just going to be an even trade of armies in the end, because both sides will be suffering heavy casualties here. On the right side, you do have some docks up for Vivi, so he's planning to get some demolition ships out. But as things stand, the big stuff is happening on the left side, and Nest of Bees are doing wonders here. Really, 6-7 Nest of Bees here are just shredding the infantry of Lix and tearing apart all those hand cannoneers from Bad Koala. The Culverins are trying to help, but of course, with Clock Tower Bombards also on the battlefield, that's a difficult fight to have. Wonder at 13 minutes for Beasty's team. In the previous round, Beasty's team was 1 minute late building a Wonder against Kelazur's team, And they ultimately managed to kill the opponent's Wonder with 15 seconds left on the clock. An absolutely spectacular game. Now they are the ones defending the Wonder and playing for that, because as things stand, White Wolf Palace is forced to make a move. Bombard's now crawling up though, and you just gotta feel that the Muslims team is gaining more and more momentum because their army is flooding left side, so unless White Wolf Palace is regrouping elsewhere, this push is over. This push is completely over, and remember that crossing this river is still impossible because you got 5 demolition ships there for the Muslim. He's got castles around, he's got Karaks, Baoshuan out, so the Fire Lancers have to take the long way around, and this is the biggest problem at this point. Gotta love this stone wall as well from Recon. They just want to make sure that now the middle is under their control as well. So they have like 60-70% of the map. They're repelling the push on the left side. And it is only 12 minutes left until the Wonder victory. White Wolf Palace is regrouping on the left side, but you just don't see those numbers right now for them. VV is 200 pop. Lix at 132 only. He's got a ton of food, but he has limited amount of wood and gold to work with. And for Bad Koala, it is 160 population. So 2 out of 3 players from White Wolf Palace have too few units on the battlefield right now, and you see the Karaks will be pushed all the way to the left side. They're realizing that there's a lot of buildings to take down over here, and you can use the Karaks with great efficiency to do that. Nest of Bees once again setting up. Wolverine pops out. It's not gonna take a shot on those Nest of Bees though, and it's gonna be sniped down by the Bombards. Those Nest of Bees are really doing work against those Hand Cannoneers. Fire Lancers coming in huge numbers once again, trying to jump on Nest of Bees. English Spearmen are able to brace though, so if they just stand in front of those Nest of Bees, those Fire Lancer charges will all be cancelled. Meanwhile, VV is regrouping once again. On the right side, you see some Baoshan trading off against each other. VV is still trying to reclaim the river, but soon that's going to be a lost cause, and I don't think they will have the time to do it, simply. Beasty, not even making any army aside from Siege. He's got Baoshan, he's got Nest of Bees, and he's got Bombards. 11 Bombards, 9 Nest of Bees, slowly crawling up with the keeps. Some Elephants are also hitting the field, but at this point, this is the population problem for White Wolf Palace. And just look at those volleys from the Nest of Bees, repelling all of those Hand Cannoneers. VV, however, assembling one of the biggest forces of Fire Lancers I've ever seen. 89 Fire Lancers. I think this is make or break for White Wolf Palace. They won't have time to rebuild an army this big again. There is 10 minutes remaining on the clock. It's now or never. They have to win a decisive engagement over here. Here comes 89 Fire Lancers. The Knights will try to meet them on the battlefield. You see the Spearmen are scrambling to block their path to the Siege Weapons. Nest of Bees getting all that fire out there. And so far, the Fire Lancers were barely able to get any charges going. Spearmen doing a beautiful job just standing in front of all that siege and bracing. Now, you're getting closer and closer to the water. Is there any demolition ships? There are some demolition ships being pulled by the Muslim. The Fire Lancers still unable to reach the Siege Weapons, and the Spearmen are repelling them with great efficiency. Knights also taking most of them down on the left side. Just an absolute slaughter of Fire Lancers. We're down to like 40. Half of them got slaughtered with minimal casualties inflicted by VV's forces. The Fire Lancers don't have a ton of HP, so if they're unable to charge in and they are just constantly exposed to 9 Nest of Bees worth of firepower, they will just get decimated. And the demolition ships prevent any kind of units getting close to those siege weapons. Elephants, Hand Cannoneers getting torn to shreds. I feel like this final fight may have been it for White Wolf Palace, because now I don't see them being able to reach that Wonder in just the 9 minutes time given to them. On the right side, you see VV is still very far from having any chance of breaking through here, and barracks are already made by Recon. He is getting Spearmen out. He knows exactly that all he needs to do is go Spearmen, because the Fire Lancers are the only thing that they need to be scared about at this point. Bombards slowly crawling up here for Beasty, and that is just a tremendous amount of firepower. 12 Bombards, and now you see Bad Koala being in full retreat. We are seeing some War Elephants hitting the field. VV once again regrouping with the Fire Lancers, but many of them are also heavily damaged. Karak is also going to get some nice shots, and VV, he could get all his Fire Lancers intercepted. Oh my goodness. His movement is so limited, and those demos are just shadowing all of those Fire Lancers. Demo Blast even catching some of them off guard. Many of them already heavily damaged. They are in full retreat mode right now, and the Wonder is standing with 8.5 minutes remaining from this game. VV, however, finally reclaiming control over the river, and he's about to start pushing through this crossing. That's their only saving grace. But if Beasty's team is smart here, they already have 5 layers of walls on that Wonder. The Wonder belongs to Beasty, and indeed, this is exactly what you want. A layer of stone walls to make sure that Fire Lancers can't snipe it. Looks like we're going to have Baoshuan coming in from both sides, trying to take control over this river crossing. Here comes a ram push with some spearmen supporting as well by Recon. On the left side, Knights are slowly cleaning up a forward here by Lix. Lix had a forward all the way up here, and I guess the idea was to get a bombard and infantry push into that opening on the left side, but that's not going to be a possibility. Lix is getting cleaned up, and on the left side, now you see a massive numbers advantage for Recon's team as well. Fire Lancers, again, in huge numbers. It's once again up to like 90 Fire Lancers. Actually, it's more than that. It's 102 Fire Lancers already on the battlefield. Left side is a cleanup though, and you get the demolition ships crawling up once again. Stone walls being built as Beasty's team is securing map control, and Vivi is gonna have to make a run for that crossing. He's using the Baoshuan to try and blast his way through these walls. I think he wants to make a run for that crossing. The problem is that there's already demos crawling up. If you are Beasty's team, I think you let them take this wall. Just think about it. You let them take down this wall because you want to bait those Fire Lancers to cross. You let them cross, you sink them with demos, and it's game over. Baoshuan still taking a lot of time to take down these walls. Obviously, you might not be able to target the gate unless you have the appropriate angle, and it's pretty difficult to approach that angle because you do have the Barbican of the Sun's ruins over here, and you see this is exactly what I'm talking about. Let them take that gate down, get them into this choke point, and it's gonna be the biggest slaughter you've ever seen. Currently, 6.5 minutes left on the Wonder countdown. The left side has been fully cleaned up. I think we're just looking at this position right now. One demolition ship ends the game here. The Muslim is actually sending in his own demos, I think a little prematurely. As I said, you could technically sink these and just slow down the game, but you can push that dagger as deep as possible by letting their opponents blast their way through these walls and then using demolition ships to sink all of those Fire Lancers. Demolition ships are now coming in here to take down the Baoshuan. Quite a few of them will be taken down indeed, some of them heavily damaged. Some more demolition ships are coming in. Wonder at 5 minutes and 40 remaining. Another demolition ship sinks a couple combat vessels. The gatehouse is on fire, so it's going to slowly burn down. Vivi, he's just waiting for that push through the middle with those Fire Lancers. There is no other explanation here. He's waiting back at home. He probably is ready to go as soon as these walls go down. Can he inflict any damage with those Fire Lancers with the walls gone? Unlikely. Recon knows exactly what's coming. He's got 50 spearmen out here. 80 Fire Lancers ready to go, and it looks like they're heading to the far left now. Switch direction to the north. As I said, I really think that this was Vivi's game plan. Blast his way through these walls, and I think what you want is to bait them to run in here, then show the spearmen, and as they retreat, you would slaughter them with the demolition ships. Any demolition ships out here for the Muslim? He's got none. As I said, I feel like it would have been better to use those demos just to have something sink those Fire Lancers. The way through the water is clear. There is one Baoshuan blocking you, but soon time is running out. 4 minutes 30 remaining here for White Wolf Palace, and they would lose the second game in a row. A transport ship is out here for Bad Koala. Vivi floating 9,000 gold, 17,000 food. You gotta wonder if it would have been more beneficial to get some sling going to his teammates, because you see, Lix is out of gold. Bad Koala also has a ton of resources banked up. They're struggling with population, but they do have the production. It's so weird. So weird. Looks like we got some stables coming in here for Bad Koala. He's trying to get some elephants going over here. I think he wanted to transport like 50 elephants through. That's probably the only reasonable explanation I can see. Transport like 50 elephants through. The villagers are still building the dock here. The elephants could knock down the stone walls even. Elephants coming in here for Bad Koala. That's where his population is at. 56 military population, all in the form of war elephants, but on this map, you need mobility above all now, because you have to get to that Wonder fast. Fire Lancers now charged through the middle, but they run into braced spearmen, and you have 2 castles over here. One of them has boiling oil as well. That's a slaughter. That's an absolute slaughter. The Fire Lancers, even without demolition ships, got absolutely massacred by the spearmen, the castle fire. They couldn't even take down one castle without the support of those Baoshuan. This was just the perfect fight here for Recon. All of those Fire Lancers got absolutely slaughtered. And on the north, there are the transport ships. Here come the elephants, but that's just like a last hurrah here. And Beasty knows what's coming. He's got 70 Nest of Bees crawling up. I think at this point, the Muslims team know exactly that there is minimal chances of White Wolf Palace of making anything happen here. Fire Lancer numbers are just non-existent now. Vivi's at 126 population. The castles went down, but White Wolf Palace is nowhere close to getting anywhere near those wonders. Demolition ships are coming in as well. Look at that. The Muslim is even popping them just so that he can get some damage down on those elephants. But at this point, just sink that dock, take down the transport ship. And with that, you're going to have 4 war elephants. Very, very sad and disappointed because Beastyqt at this point, just for your reference, has 129 military population, out of which you see 21 Nest of Bees and 16 Clock Tower Bombards holding this off. White Wolf Palace resigns, and with that, a second very long game once again won by Beasty's team. Oh boy, what a game this was. What a game this was. A lot of cheese in this one, but ultimately, even if it wasn't for a wonder, White Wolf Palace was on the back foot for a long, long time. On the left side, they have lost map control. I feel like that push stalling out inside the base of the Muslim was probably what swung it back, because the Muslim, for him, the game got scary for a long time. Like, there was a charge where he almost lost his landmarks. He lost considerable numbers, and the push was just great. The problem was that Bad Koala having the Delhi obviously takes a lot of time to research imp upgrades, and the war elephants are just not gonna crack it. They're too slow to arrive to the other side of the map. Ultimately, 615 kills for the Muslim, 400 losses. Beasty with 530 kills and 127 losses, 88 buildings razed as well. And to those of you that don't like Fire Lancers, these numbers will most likely make you very happy. 237 kills for Vivi, 602 losses. All the Fire Lancers got slaughtered. Just look at the Fire Lancer numbers over here for Vivi for a brief moment, looking at his military population. You could clearly see those Fire Lancer charges, and they never really worked out well. Just look at this, for example. The Fire Lancer charge here actually inflicted more damage on Vivi's army than it did on Recon's army. Bracing Spearmen held them off very nicely. And at the end of the day, of course, having better economies as well, slightly better, 63,000 gold for Beasty, 66 for the Muslim. They were the only 2 players above 60,000 at this point. Vivi had 70,000 food worked. For him, of course, he had fishing eco for a long, long time, but ultimately the efficiency of these fights is what decides the game in the favor of Beasty and the StrealBoras. As I said, Beasty with an insane KD over here, 88 buildings raised to 17 lost, just a spectacular show. And of course, the Muslim here as well, with a very nice KD and building KD as well. Of course, Recon, even though his KD isn't spectacular, he was the main reason why those Fire Lancers couldn't do much. His Spearmen were always on the appropriate position on the battlefield. They were able to protect the siege of Beasty. So the combination of Recon's infantry and Beasty's siege came in clutch here for them. And with that, we now have a 2-0 scoreline over here. As I said, this is an extremely important game for both teams because now Beasty and the StrealBoras move into match point, and this is going to be very difficult to steer back under the control of White Wolf Palace simply because they have lost 2 otherwise rather close games. So now there is a bit of a moral advantage, I would say, for Beasty's team. They know exactly that they're up 2 games. They're playing confident. They managed to win 2 close games. Whereas for White Wolf Palace, they just lost 2 very close games. So obviously, they might have a difficult time regrouping for game number 3. Before that happens though, since we had a pretty long game over here, we're also going to take a short break. So grab yourself some refreshments because we'll be back after this short break, jumping into game number 3. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Beastyqt and the StrealBoras versus White Wolf Palace. The score tells you 2-0, but that's a little misleading because guess what? These two games were really close, so the fact that Beastyqt and the StrealBoras could close both of them out is a massive advantage on their side right now, because in both games White Wolf Palace had some very good moments, and for some time it seemed like they are going to win those games, but then Beastyqt and the StrealBoras are able to close the games out, and with that, now they're up 2-0, and we are going to high view. We already have the civilizations as well, and that is going to be Rus, Mongols, and French. So open maps, the three best civilizations for both of these teams. But obviously, high view slightly different from Arabia in some ways. You have more bounty for the Rus players to work with. You also have a slightly easier vulnerability because of those forests out there. But of course, the main factor, having all those stealth forests out there and the ability to intercept the opponent's armies, catch them off guard, is probably the main factor. We'll have to see what the two teams learned from game number one, because this game could play out somewhat similarly to game number one, and part of the reason why game number one was a little problematic for White Wolf Palace is because, while Beastyqt's early aggression was great, he never switched into any power units in mid-late game, and Spearmen, Men-at-Arms just didn't crack it by the end of the game. So part of the reason why things fell apart was that. The second was that they were a little slow when it comes to setting up their trade compared to their opponents. So we'll see if adjustments are made by Vivi's team based on what they have seen in game number one. That's one of their biggest advantages right now going into game number three. The fact that they have seen what their opponents are doing in game number one. Of course, you could see Recon's team changing some stuff up, but given the fact that White Wolf Palace has seen what their opponents did there, they can adjust their game plan a tiny bit, especially because the things that they need to adjust is not something that's dependent on what Recon's team is doing. If the game seems to go long, you will have to start adding trade a little earlier, and that's something that they learned in game number one, for example. Looks like the teams are ready, so we will have the game starting in a matter of seconds. Mr. Yo also steps back onto the playing field, and it looks like now it's gonna be Yo, Vivi, and Beastyqt playing. So Lix hits the bench, and it looks like the only players that will be all three games for White Wolf Palace so far will be Beastyqt and Vivi. Lix and Yo seem to be switching each other out, but you haven't seen Beastyqt benched, you haven't seen Vivi benched. So looking at the civilizations real quickly over here, as the overlay is about to tell you, it is going to be Beastyqt handling the Mongols. You're going to have the Muslim as the Rus and Recon as the French, the same lineup that we had in game number one. Beastyqt is going to be the Mongols again, Vivi is going to be the French, and Yo is going to be playing the Rus. So pretty much the exact lineup that we have seen in game number one. The colors will be identical for the players as well. So Vivi is going to be picking the green French, Beastyqt is going to be purple Mongols, and Yo is going to be the teal Rus player. Whereas on the other side, Beast is going to be with the Mongols, the Muslim is going to have the Rus, and Recon is going to have the French. Locations, if I would have to predict, I think those will also be identical, having the French players in the pockets and the Rus and Mongols on the flanks. The question is, will we see some more aggression from Beast in Dark Age with the Mongols? Will we see less aggression from Beastyqt in Dark Age? So the first thing that we'll have to look at is how those Mongol players approach this coming game. After this set ends, we will have the second semifinals of the day commencing as well, which is just as good of a matchup as this one, so make sure you stick around for the second semifinals as well, because that's gonna be a banger as well. Of course, the second semifinals will only begin once the first one is concluded, so if White Wolf Palace is able to win 2 games over here in a row and put it into game number 5, of course, then the second semifinals will wait for that. So there's going to be no action missed by EU. 2 minutes remaining until the spec countdown ends and we jump into high view. Open maps seem to have favored Beasty's team a tiny bit, but in general, in both of the games that we have seen, the two teams were very, very close when it comes to skill. So these were close games, small decision issues or small things going wrong or right for each team were the things that decided the outcomes. One fight taken in a bad position or good position for each team, being able to grab some more relics than the opponent, and small details like that, those are things that can swing these games in the favor of either of these teams. So I would expect a rather close game here once again. As I said, we'll be starting off looking at what the Mongol players are up to. Given how successful Bad Koala was with that tower rush, wouldn't be surprised to see him doing that again. But of course, that depends on whether or not he's up against the Rus flank or the Mongols flank. If he's up against the Mongols flank, he won't be able to do that much tower rushing, and we might see him going for the pocket recon. But if he's up against the Rus player once again, I can see the Muslim being the punching bag again and just being tower rushed in Dark Age. Countdown getting close to that 10 seconds mark. So it's time to jump into game number 3 here. Match point for Beast and the StrealBoras. They managed to win 2 close games in here. Another close game being won here would push them into the grand finals of AoE4 Pro League. Whereas on the other side, White Wolf Palace, against the odds, they're down 2 games, but both of the games that they lost were pretty close. Both of the games could have been won by them. If they're able to rally and regroup, they definitely have a chance of turning this one around. That's exactly what we are going to see potentially in game number 3. In 10 seconds, we're jumping into high view. Game, please. Please. Sometimes it takes a couple of seconds for the game to wake up. So, looking at the start, as I said, it's going to be coming down to the Rus players, and finally the wait is over. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to game number 3 in this best of 5 in between Beasty and the StrealBoras versus White Wolf Palace. On the left side, we'll have Beasty's team with Recon in the pocket as the blue French. Down south, you're going to have the town center of Beastyqt playing as the red Mongols, and up north, you're going to have the Muslim playing as the yellow Rus. Other side, in the pocket, you're going to have the fat dragon Vivi himself playing as the green French. Down south, you're going to have Mr. Yo playing as the Rus in teal. And up north, you're going to have the Mongols of Bad Koala in purple. So, just like in game number 1, we are going to have the Mongol player up against the Rus flank of the opponent. So, tower rushing potential is there for both sides. We'll see if Bad Koala is going to do the exact same thing that he did before. Looking at his base, the OVO is very close to the town center, so he could drop the barracks right over here. Very, very nice and compact base for him. And for the Muslim, his gold mines are quite a bit exposed. One of them is reasonable, the other one is quite exposed, as I said. There is a little bit on the front side, but he's got some forests to work with all the way at the back, so that's definitely a positive. Even has a backup forest over here. And what I love about his position is that these 2 forests form a natural barrier here. So basically, if he gets pushed away from this wood line, he can still go back here, and that's going to be very difficult for Bad Koala to push. Speaking of Bad Koala pushing things, there is the barracks coming in for him. He's out for aggression once again. And for Beasty, It seems like he's approaching the game like he did in game number 1. There is going to be no aggression coming from him so far. Hunting cabin already up for the Muslim. He's popping out some scouts. As we look at the Rus players out here, the Muslim is going to be sitting at 50 bounty. Mr. Yo is going to be at 80. So slight advantage there for Mr. Yo, but the difference is minimal. Of course, on High View, having a lot more wolves than other maps, you're going to be looking for those wolves primarily because those are pretty easy source and pretty decent source of gold, 25 gold apiece. And then once you are done looking for wolves, you can go try and find yourself some patches of huntables to kill. Looking at Bad Koala, he's scouting the base of the Muslim very actively. You see, he found his gold mine, he found the berries, and the spearmen are already crawling up. 2 villagers are being pulled. And their first tower is likely going to be around this area, and that would be a great tower. A tower here would deny the berries, and it would deny some of the wood income, and then you could make a second tower here. Now, in game number 1, which was the similar situation, you could see the Muslim dropping a defensive tower quite early on. So I wonder if that is something that's going to be a possibility for him. He's at 150 on the wood department, and he's going to need 175 for a wooden fortress. A tower here would be very helpful for him. You see, he's going to diagnose that there is going to be a spearman and tower rush coming at him. Bad Koala is going to dispatch the spearman to scare away that scout. Tower coming up right now for Bad Koala. Let's see if we're going to have any kind of contingency towers here for the Muslim. Nope. He's just going to send his lumberjacks all the way to the far left. Not exactly sure what the plan here was for him as he runs into the spears of his opponent. That's a bit of a disaster out there. On the left side, he's probably microing his scout against those wolves, and he just now realized that the scout was taken down. That's gonna be annoying, because obviously, without the scout, he won't be able to see what's coming at him, and more importantly, that scout would have been very useful to pick up carcasses later on, so he's gonna add some more scouts over here. His lumberjacks are safe for the time being, and he could make a defensive tower to help things out as well. For now, this tower isn't doing much for Bad Koala, but of course, it's not the first tower that's dangerous, it's gonna be the follow-up towers. The Muslim at 225 bounty right now, getting up to 35 as we speak, and it looks like this scout is gonna get away with 6 sheep following him. Quite important because, as you see, the Muslim really is relying on those sheep carcasses underneath his town center at this point. Meanwhile, down south, you're gonna have the deer stones coming in for Beasty. It is the same slower approach that he has been taking in game number 1. Tower here so far, not doing that much. And for the Muslim, he keeps adding scouts. Looks like the villagers will switch sides, walking all the way around here, so wouldn't be surprised to see them trying to tower rush around this area for the lumberjacks, but this is a long way around for Bad Koala, and the thing is that with that tower only having 1 spearman inside, you could justify pulling the scouts and some villagers and taking it down. Love the preemptive tower here by the Muslim. That's going to protect the back of this wood line, but I think the best thing he could do, as I said, is just to try and rush down that tower. Spearmen are coming in though, and the Muslim could be in trouble once again. Boy, oh boy, is he the punching bag in this entire set. Now, him being the punching bag worked out so far for his team, because behind that one, Recon and Beasty can just build up their forces. Speaking of which, Recon is going for 2,000ers here. He's sending villagers to stone quite early on. Tower coming in right now from Bad Koala behind the wood line of the Muslim. He's at 290 bounty. Yo's at 355, so Yo being unharassed actually shows quite a bit so far on the bounty department. Up north, you're going to have Yo intercepting another wolf as well. So the Muslim, once again, under a lot of pressure, scouts could still jump into the tower, and you gotta be very careful with that con because it is taking a ton of damage. And it's a very nice micro so far by the Muslim. He's able to send the sheep back at home too. He's gonna have a lot of sheep to work with. Now, obviously, because the scouts are here and they're fighting, they won't be able to bring in any carcasses. But when you have this much sheep to work with, you don't have to worry about that one that much. The Muslim is going to be slowed down, but it's not going to be a disaster, and the scouts are trying to get the kill on the Khan. The Khan gets taken down, and with that, and the support of this knight, this tower rush might be cleaned up, and this is a massive difference compared to game number 1. In game number 1, the tower rush from Bad Koala was a lot more successful than this one, and of course, this means that Bad Koala is staying in Dark Age for a long time. The spearmen, the villagers are likely going to get picked off at some point. You still want to make sure that the scouts don't get killed here. You want to take down this tower and then heal up your scouts. Nice micro there by the Muslim to pull the weak scouts. Knights once again coming in from Recon to help out. Meanwhile, for Beasty, he's crawling up with towers to the middle of the map. He wants to see whatever is coming through that stout forest, and of course that's going to expand his Yam network as well. And with that, the tower is going to get cleaned up. The same is going to be the fate of this tower over here. And the Muslim is going to be safe for the time being. Looks like Batkola is not giving up though. He's going after the Deer Stone, still adding a lot of Spearmen at this point. Yodo, up to 505 bounty. He has had to go for berries though, because Yo didn't find a lot of sheep, so he had to go for berries because he ran out of sheep underneath his town center, most likely. The Muslim at 355 bounty though, he's gonna have to find some extra bounty over here because that's going to be an issue for him having a weaker food eco compared to Mr. Yo because he doesn't have that tier 3. And of course, you already have the scouts bringing the carcasses, and now Beasty arrives at the Mangadai. I love this move. This is something that we have seen from Mista yesterday. Mangadai are just so effective when it comes to controlling the map and denying the scouts of the opponent. And you see, Yo lost 2 scouts. That's 2 scouts worth of carcass carrying ability, and that's going to slow down Mr. Yo quite considerably. And you see, at this point, Beasty is doing an excellent job just controlling those carcasses. Yo is having a hard time finding deer. Meanwhile, up north, tower is still up. There is a new villager being brought in by Bad Koala, so he's not giving up on this, and a tower here could be quite powerful against the Muslims lumberjacks at this point. Horse archers, or excuse me, Mangadai, or Beasty, doing a nice job controlling Yo, but at this point, Yo is going up to Castle Age with 8 villagers on the Abbey of Trinity. The Muslim is doing the same thing. Abbey of Trinity coming in with no less than 16 villagers though. Tower coming up here, the Muslim has no idea about that one, so that's gonna come as a nasty surprise, as now the Mangadai are swooping in. Beasty is doing a beautiful job with the Mangadai. He has killed scouts from his opponent, and Vivi's reaction here is a little pedestrian. That's going to be 3 villagers down, make it 4 to the Mangadai. Quite a lot of food villagers going down here, and if you look at the town center of Vivi, you may notice that this is his only source of food. He doesn't have sheep to work with, he doesn't have carcasses being brought in. Oftentimes, when you run out of food with your French player, you ask your Rus teammate to bring in some carcasses to you, but that's not something that you're seeing. Vivi actually has a second town center, and he is now able to access some carcasses on the left side. So, not the end of the world for him, but obviously losing 4 villas, there is a disaster. So is the fact that Mr. Yo is going to lose 3 more scouts, and with that, Mr. Yo is gonna have a minimal amount of carcasses to work with underneath his town center. He doesn't have a ton of sheep either. Berries could be denied as well. Now he's got horse archers coming in, but I feel like Beasty actually did more damage to the eco of Mr. Yo than Bat Koala was able to do damage on the eco of the Muslim. The Muslim is coming in with archer ranges all the way at the back here. There's a Khan. Is that guy stuck in there, or he's just chilling? Unsure. Nope, he's not stuck. He's just chilling there. Love the towers, once again, from Beasty. Is going to give him a lot of vision, and that allows him to spot if his opponent is crawling up for some of those carcasses. Towers are also coming up here for recon. Up north, towers harassing the base of the Muslim. The Muslim is going to relocate his lumberjacks to the left side. This is by far the safest spot for him to chop trees. Vivi is going to be fully walled though, and he's playing on 2 town centers. So is Recon. Spearman now coming in from Bad Koala, getting some damage done on Recon's base, killing a couple of knights. But behind this one, Beastyqt is up to Castle Age. That Castle Age timing is just spectacular. Given the fact that he had to invest into some Mangadai, which are not cheap at all, being able to have a 9-10 minutes Castle Age time is quite a decent accomplishment for Beasty. And now we could see some Lancers appearing on the battlefield from him. I think Beasty's team is now in a commanding position at this point, because Bad Koala's tower rushes were a nuisance for the Muslim, but it's not like it was a major danger. And I love this use of the Mangadai once again. You keep those Mangadai behind the base of Yo, and the moment Yo moves out, you're going to be able to get in, get some kills. You could also try intercepting those warrior monks. You see, on the right side you have 2 relics, so at some point Yo is going to have to go for those. On the other side we already have the first relic being brought in by the Muslim. Yo is going to have 1 relic in that abbey as well. Looks like finally Yo is able to bring in the carcasses, but obviously it was heavily delayed compared to his original plans. This tower still being annoying, but really not a major source of concern, as looks like the Muslim is still adding some scouts here. I wonder if that's just gonna be a scouts push on those towers. Having the torch damage there could actually help quite a bit, and you see Beasty is still hunting for those scouts. Gotta love the vision for Beasty's team. Just look at this for a brief moment. All that vision across the map, the investment into those towers will pay off really fast. Stonewall's coming in for Recon. They're not messing around. They are aware that the Horse Archer player might be the most dangerous from the opponent, so a couple of Stonewalls here could work out. Recon is not only on 2 town centers, but having Stonewalls up will guarantee that the Muslims' gold mine here is safe. Here come the Mangadai from Beasty's team. And now we have some Lancers as well. Mangadai Lancers as a combination is very, very good at dealing with early Horse Archers. So until the Horse Archers don't have like 50, 60 numbers, Mangadai and Lancers are a very nice combination to deal with them. And that's exactly what you're seeing from Beasty. Meanwhile, in the middle, you will have the Sacred Site that's currently under control of the Muslim being neutralized by Yo. Yo is coming up with a couple of Horse Archers, but he's just going to bump into Stonewalls. The Stonewalls are incomplete though. Vivi swoops in, kills a villager, and with that, the Stonewalls are still open for Mr. Yo to come in. Up north, as expected, the scouts from the Muslim will move out. He loves to use those cheap scouts as good torch units, and that's exactly what we are seeing. Towers will be taken down, so all aggression in the face of the Muslim are now gone. Looking at the Castle Age times, we still have the 2 French players in Castle Age, or Feudal Age, excuse me. Rest of them are already in Castle, and now you see the change up in strategy from Bad Koala. Previous game, or well, previous open map game, Arabia, he was going infantry for a long, long time. Now it is going to be a cavalry play from him. 1 Horse Archer here from Yo, being annoying at the gold mine of Beasty, but that's going to be taken down quite easily by the tower. Actually, Beasty ungarrisoned the tower a little prematurely, so this is going to be a bit of an annoyance, but nothing significant. For now, towers are also coming up here for Beasty. Up north, we have a big counterattack coming in from the Muslim though, and those cheap scouts will be a great arrow sponge. They'll be a great torch unit as well. And you see, the Muslim is going to take down that boar, which will give him 75 bounty, pushing him to 580. That's also a nice little touch. Will give him some extra gold, and it will guarantee that he's getting tier 3 bounty as well. Now they're heading towards the base of Bad Koala. Bad Koala's got some Lancers going over here for him. They're a pretty nice and compact base, so it's going to be difficult to push. But there might still be a window here for the Muslim, especially if there is going to be some support from teammates. Looks like there is no support coming in from Recon though. He's coming in with the Knights to the south. He just reached Castle Agent. He's grabbing a defensive keep so he can have the stables, get the discount on the cost of the Knights. Horse Archers from Mr. Yo coming in from south though, and that could be a lot of damage done on the eco of Beasty. Another board taken down here, and just love how the Muslim is utilizing the fact that he's finding some huntables there. The Muslim is getting up to 750 bounty, one of the largest bounties I've ever seen. Horse Archers now swooping in here from Mr. Yodo, and given how open the villagers are for Beasty here, that's definitely worrisome for him. He's going to lose quite a lot. Love how Yo is moving in between the villagers and the escape path, and that's gonna be a ton of dead villagers out here. If the Horse Archers moved it to the left side a little faster, that could have been 2 or 3 more even, but that's gonna be at least 6, 7 villagers going down here from Beasty. A big disaster. On the other side though, Beasty is moving in with his Lancers, and there's support coming in from the Muslims, so suddenly they might be able to retaliate for all those villager losses. We'll have to take a look at the tally. At the end of the game, quite a lot of towers for Bad Koala here to allow the villagers to garrison inside though. But with that many scouts nearby, you can torch down those towers quite rapidly and then kill the villagers inside. Some Mangadai also in the party here for Beast. It looks like the Knights of Bad Koala are getting repelled. And with this tower going down, 5 villagers will pop out, and you can finish those off with your units out here. This is exactly what the Muslim wants to accomplish with those scouts. Use them as a very cheap torch unit. Basically no investment for him at this point in the game. And the return value is very nice because you can take down towers of your opponent. Looks like some Horse Archers will meet the Lancers of Bad Koala on the battlefield. That's a terrible fight for the Muslim out there. But he's able to compensate for it by killing a dozen of villagers from Bad Koala up north. Looking at the villager count real quickly, Bad Koala is at 24 only. Beasty has taken a beating as well, but he's still at 39, so almost double the villagers now for Beasty over his Mongol counterpart. Truth being told, Bad Koala is not getting a ton of help, because at this point he's fighting against at least 2 players alone. We haven't really seen that much of a cavalry coming out from Vivi in general. you see that Yo's got some horse archers, but Vivi has minimal forces on the battlefield as things stand. Vivi indeed has 11 army only, so part of the reason why Bad Koala is suffering from so much damage is because Vivi is just booming behind this one. I think this might be intentional though. Like, at this point you see this deer stones being pulled. I think the idea is that they know exactly that Bad Koala is gonna die. But behind this one, Vivi is gonna have a gigantic boom, and he's gonna have the Royal Knights as well with Royal Bloodlines and enlistment incentives for the production. So I guess the idea is that they will just sacrifice Bad Koala here so that Vivi is gonna be able to get a better eco than the opponent. But honestly, that's not really gonna work out. I feel like it would have been just better for Vivi to make some army and help out his teammate at this point. Fight is pretty decent here for White Wolf Palace. We get some knights moving in from the Fat Dragon, and it looks like the Muslims' forces are being repelled. On the left side, Yo moved in once again with the Horse Archers, but now he's getting double teamed by Blue Knights and the Red Knights as well. I think the biggest problem for this game plan for Vivi's team, just sort of having one player absorb the damage, just like the Muslim did in game number 1, is that Vivi is not that much ahead compared to Recon. Vivi is at 87 villagers, Recon is at 80, so the difference between the two French players is not something that compensates for the loss of this Mongols player out here. Ovu is up for Bad Koala all the way at the back. He's got the deer stones randomly located near the base of Vivi, but Vivi's gonna need to make wonders happen with those knights because he didn't really add a lot of army in this early mid-game section, and his teammate got punished for that. Love this sacred site under control of the Muslim. There is one in the hands of Mr. Yo, and we got some keeps coming in here from Recon. This is match point. So if Recon's team wins this, they are in the grand finals. In the middle, we have a bit of a fighting going on between the Horse Archers and the Royal Knights. Recon already has the Royal Bloodlines upgrade as well. I think Recon is just outplaying Vivi here big time, because Recon's Knights are already better than the ones from Vivi, and as I said, he's not behind in economy, and he's been making army all the time. He's been stonewalling his teammate. I feel like Recon accomplished a lot more than Vivi did with the same civilization and very similar strategies over here. Up north, you see some Lancers moving in from Bad Koala, trying to launch a counterattack, but thanks to Recon's stone walls, the base of the Muslim is completely untouchable, and it looks like the Muslim is just gonna have a boom here, nice and comfy. Behind this one, he's got 3 relics working for him. Looking at the resource incomes per minute, Yo's got 442 gold per minute, so he probably has like 4 going for him. Yo also mining quite a lot of stone at this point. In the middle, this is a very nice forward position to hold by Recon, and you see as those Red Knights pop out from the mist, suddenly Yo is gonna have to retreat. Vivi still doesn't have the Royal Bloodlines upgrade, and that is more than concerning now. As I said, he doesn't have an eco lead over their opponents, doesn't have an army numbers lead, and he doesn't have a technology lead, so you're gonna ask yourself the question, where did all of those resources that he accumulated with that boom go? Royal Bloodlines now in for him, as they are heading towards the base of Beasty. They need to do a ton of damage to Beasty to compensate for the fact that Bad Koala is heavily damaged. Bad Koala is at 30 villagers, Beasty is sitting at 49. On the other hand, now Beasty's base is wide open, and you see he's a little slow with those towers. He's just not building those up, so quite a lot of villagers could actually go down over here. He's running back to the town center. Quite a few casualties will be inflicted, but Yo's Horse Archers get caught in between those Lancers and the Knights, and that's a slaughter. That was a slaughter. Yo wanted to dive in, and he got caught in that choke point by the Red Lancers and the Blue Knights. Getting completely surrounded, that's exactly what you want to avoid with your Horse Archers. And such a disastrous fight could easily turn out to be a game decider one, because Yo just lost like 25 Cav Archers there to just absolutely getting them destroyed. The Muslim in Imperial Age. This is looking really, really grim at this point, because the Muslim up in Imperial, Recon so far currently quite even with the forces of Vivi, but you already got the Muslim moving in here. He's going to try and take this fight because he knows that his upgrades are coming in, and now you got the sandwich coming in, 2 versus 3 right now. Lancers, Knights from Beasty and Recon, and of course you got the Muslims Horse Archers moving in. The numbers are already enough to win this fight for them, and once the upgrades come in for the Muslim, which is just a matter of seconds, you're going to see the victory slowly sliding into the hands of Beasty's team, and they could win this set in a 3-0 fashion. They also have 3 sacred sites working for them right now, so that's also a very nice extra trickle of gold. And you see, Beastyqt is trying his best to launch a counterattack, but he's just too far behind. I don't necessarily think it was his fault though, because he was left alone by his teammates. There was just no help coming in. He was triple teamed. Beasty also running towards Imperial Age with the White Stupa, and oh boy, Vivi's forces are getting intercepted. White Wolf Palace is falling apart here. Now you got the Muslim with the 120 HP elite horse archers on the battlefield. They're going to be sent all the way to the north. I think you could justify trying to hit the eco of Vivi at this point. White Wolf Palace is trying to regroup, but soon they'll be facing multiple Imperial Age players. Vivi is close to Imperial. Mr. Yo, not so far away either, but of course, Batcola isn't going to be a factor for a long time, and it looks like all those horse archers and knights are now heading towards the north. Recon, he's not far away from Imperial Age either. If he starts banking up resources and stops making some army, he could get to Imperial as well. Moving in to the right side, you're going to have all the horse archers from the Muslim. Down south, you have the horse archers of Yo pushing up, but this is why these towers from Beasty are so helpful. They know exactly when their enemies are pushing them, so they can react really fast to that. They just have vision into those stealth forests, and that helps so much. Recon coming in with the Lancers, and you see mass migration by Bad Koala. He's really leveraging that nomadic lifestyle with those Mongols, but once the flaming arrows come in for those horse archers, they will just destroy all those buildings. In fact, Pastures trying to run away desperately. Everything, market, pastures, town centers, all the buildings of Bad Koala are making a run for it towards the base of Vivi. You see villagers trailing that caravan as well. That's an absolute slaughter out there, and with that, Bad Koala is pretty much out of this game, and you do have 2 players in Imperial from Beasty's team, and Recon is about to click up as well. On the other side, Vivi's up to Imperial, Yo is not far away either, but it's basically a 2 versus 3 at this point. 3 Imperial Age players versus only 2. Sacred sites are also in the hands of Recon's team right now. They have the majority of the map under their control, and this is looking extremely difficult for Vivi's team right now. Vivi up to Imperial, he's waiting for elite Royal Knights, garrisoning them into the keep. For now, that keep is going to hold off the horse archers, but that's just a temporary thing. I think your best bet might be to try and push this wall, because this is way too exposed. There is the Red Palace on the way for Recon, and oh boy, Vivi's villagers here could absolutely get slaughtered. Recon is coming in with the knights, and there is nowhere to go for those vills. That's gonna be a ton of gold miners down, and with that, the majority of Vivi's gold income is also going down the drain. That's a slaughter. Now we're just seeing things falling apart here for White Wolf Palace. You do have elite knights in for Vivi with full upgrades, so for now Recon is going to have to retreat, but behind this one, the horse archers now with flaming arrows, they will just burn down those gates in a matter of seconds. And with that, the horse archers, supported by some scouts, are able to break in. I love the addition of the warrior monks as well here, still leveraging the fact that you could have the Saint's Blessing when you're fighting, and those horse archers, all they have to do is split up and do as much eco damage as they can, and that would basically make it impossible for Vivi to replenish his army. Just when Bad Koala is able to regroup on the right side, it's gonna be a little too late. All of those elite Royal Knights are being called back, but the moment they're called back, you're going to have Recon's heavy cavalry pushing in down south, supported by the Lancers, now elite as well from Beasty. Yo is up to Imperial, and now he's got elite horse archer. Recon is still missing his upgrade, so he has to be careful with this one. But you see, just the hordes of horse archers moving in from our Rus player. Mass migration for Vivi, and those villagers are trapped in there. That's gonna be a slaughterhouse. I mean, in literal terms, because there is going to be slaughter and there is going to be a house. And now the horse archers are somewhat trapped over here by Vivi's cavalry, a little concerning. But you can still sandwich them in between those forests and take a pretty decent fight. Look at that choke point fight over there. It's still pretty good for the Muslim, because what he's losing is way less expensive than what Vivi is losing here in the process. Vivi, of course, took a massive beating in his eco as well, so replenishing those knights is going to be a lot more difficult. And down south, you just see those red dots streaming across the base of Mr. Yo. Yo is also losing eco. White Wolf Palace is collapsing with the economy, and you see the knights are not even sufficient anymore for Vivi to clean up all of those horse archers. There's going to be some more Lancers dispatched by Bad Koala, but these are Castle Age units at this point. And poor Batcola once again has to make a run for it, trying to make a new TC on the far right, but that is just a desperate effort to hang on to a game that is likely lost already. Horse Archer still doing a ton of work, a lot of farming eco being denied from the Fat Dragon. I feel like if this wasn't game number 3, which is right now the final game of the set, if Beasty's team ends up winning this, they probably would have resigned already, because their chances are probably lower than 1% at this point. They have one player stuck in Castle Age, no economy. Their French player has taken a massive beating on their eco, and their Rus player is also behind compared to the opponent's Rus. Like you see, Yo's got only 14 Horse Archers here inside the base of his teammate, and there is still 35 Horse Archers from the Muslim, and he's getting another force up as we speak. At the base of Mr. Yo, everything is peaceful. Now it's all about taking down Vivi. Vivi is down to 85 population, 78 villagers, 7 army. Not enough. Not enough at all. At this point, Vivi and Bad Koala combined for less than 130 population, which is probably less than one player from the opposing team alone. And I think at this point, Beasty's team doesn't need to rush anything. They don't need to sweat this one too hard. You see, they came back with the Horse Archers all the way to the north because they expected Bad Koala to still be here, but reality is that no one is home anymore. If you had some siege going, you could already steamroll the base of Vivi, but you see there's Horse Archers or Horsemen moving in here from Vivi. The Muslim knows exactly that his opponent is running out of juice. Barely any knights on the field. You're seeing unupgraded horsemen hit the battlefield. That's a sign that Vivi no longer has resources to afford the army that he wants to. His eco is just not there anymore. And I think we're just waiting for Recon to unleash like 50 elite knights. In fact, I'm not even sure where those are. He's at 28 army only. So once Recon gets his forces up, which should be in a matter of seconds, indeed he's just now popping out knights, we'll see those knights steamroll the base of Mr. Yo most likely. Horse Archers once again moving in. The wall is still open, so by the time Vivi and Yo finally clean up these forces, the next wave comes in. Yo, Bad Koala surrender, and Vivi is going to tap out in a matter of seconds as well. White Wolf Palace, a team that played really well in the tournament, and they played 2 very close games against Beasty's team here, will fall 3-0 to Beasty and the StrealBoras. Super powerful gameplay by Beasty's team, and they've been getting better and better as we progress deeper into the tournament. They weren't super convincing in the first couple of rounds, but as we get closer to the grand finals, in which they are going to be one of the participants, they are showing extreme strength, and now they're playing just an exceptional level of game. Ultimately, you see, this is where the Horse Archers ran in. There was no way back for White Wolf Palace from that point on. But the biggest question to me, and this is what I want to point out, look at this. This was the big problem here. At 1450, Bad Koala's base gets heavily pushed. At that time, you had a minimal army for our green player. This is the biggest question mark to me. The Rus players were head-to-head in terms of Horse Archer numbers, but I really feel like the biggest question mark was Bad Koala's teammates not really being there when his base got pushed. That knocks Bad Koala out of this game, and from that point on, he wasn't really able to influence the game, and it was basically a 2 versus 3, ultimately being won by Beasty's team. 132 kills by Recon, 57 deaths. Beautiful job to keep all of his knights alive. 245 kills, 120 deaths as well by the Muslim. Super effective. And this is something that represented their playstyle in this entire set. Beasty's team always took very, very well-considered engagements and smart engagements and effective engagements. And that's just vital at this point. All 3 of your players being at a positive KD and having a French player with a very positive KD is a very difficult thing to do. And that's exactly what you could see. Recon was an extremely good team player in this one. He was able to help out the Muslim when he needed with the Knights, stonewalled his teammate to make sure that the Muslim is no longer suffering from a lot of pressure. And in general, this is a very nice combination. The Muslim and Beasty are playing an exceptional level of gameplay, and they're able to, I'm not saying carry their team because really it's a team effort, but I want to give a shout out to Recon, who sort of has been working in the shadows here a tiny bit. He never really had any flashy moments, but he was a great auxiliary player in every single game. Game number 2, he was the spearman player. You couldn't see any major moments from him, but he was the only reason why the Fire Lancers couldn't do anything. So Recon is doing an exceptional job supporting his 2 teammates here as well, and the team coordination is now really good for the Muslims team. They are the ones moving into the grand finals. Great show force, really confident, high-level gameplay we're seeing from them. Their game plan is on point all the time, their reactions are smart, and ultimately, they are the ones moving into the grand finals to face the other grand finalist.